Winners and Losers episode 222 starts right now. Hello, everybody. I'm back. We made it back. I have returned from the top of the mountain, the crest of the hill, the fulcrum. No, I already lost it. So yes, made it back. I've been toiling away in the video editing mines for the last month or two. Basically not podcasting was my primary activity as a self-identified podcasting American. The amount of podcasting I do is frankly unpatriotic. I am sorry. I apologize for my absence. I'm sure you're wondering what's happening in the world. We've got no updates from me or the world. Yeah, so you're totally in the dark since whenever I last recorded a podcast 16 years ago. So about to find out. It's not good news. Sorry to tell you right now, but it got worse. Honestly, that could just be every single newspaper headline since the year 2000. Just, it got worse. Today, worse. Tomorrow, but this would be another today. Worse again. Sorry. And worse than yesterday would be another day of the news. That's just all the headlines. That's what we did. When we choose our voting structure here in this country and what we call a democracy, it's not. We instead of calling it like harm reduction or lesser of two evils voting, we should just call it worse. It's getting worse. There's no avoiding the inevitability that a system like this can only get worse because it is designed to increase stress. Those piles of hoarded money the billionaires have and their mountain mines that they kicked the dwarves out of, what those are piles of other people's misery. That's not money. What we call money, what we call wealth, is actually a scoreboard for poverty. That's what's actually going on. So those giant troves of gold coins and rare gems and jewels and the red ones, the rubies, emeralds, rings that look like ring pops, but they're really not. They're just, highly treasured valuables stolen by conquerors and pirates and stuff. I think if the billionaires are going to be rich, mean, evil monsters, they should at least have to have like literal troves of coins. They just have computer programs that cause environmental devastation for everybody around them. No, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but money is just such a bullshit. I am so fucking annoyed by having to constantly beg for money. Even I wish that was a skill I had. I suck at that part. I'm good at the begging, but not the part where people say yes. That's although, as you see on screen here, Tell the Truth, Shank, the documentary that we're working on here in 2026, here at the end of March, is my film about unionizing the Young Turks. And I'd like to welcome new listeners to the show. I know I've gotten a whole bunch of new subscribers thanks to Cam James's profiles. Exposés about the Young Turks, including first the Dr. Ritchie degree stuff, which nothing ever came of that. You'd think that being outed as having a whole bunch of phony degrees would somehow trigger a review at your employer or something like that, but it doesn't seem to. That's kind of strange. And then, of course, Cam James put out the third part to that the 3-part series was about the Young Turks overall, and he included my work about the documentary and stuff. So I've done some content about that. So I'm just acknowledging new listeners, new viewers from the Cam James empire. That guy is such a good communicator. Every time I'm just like, gosh, what is it? What's the secret? The secret is to just say what you mean and shut up, which I don't do well. So, lots to get to today. I might get back to the rambling about how billionaires should be required to have literal coins. I don't even think they should have gold coins. They should be chocolate coins covered in gold foil, and they should have to swim through it every day, every morning. And then they would be covered in disgusting bits of melted chocolate and gold. And of course, if it's like the way chocolate is nowadays, there's no cocoa. I don't have it in front of me. I wasn't planning on bringing this up, but my brain is sending it out my mouth. I've seen TikToks of people being like, why is my chocolate rubbery now? And it tastes horrible. And I've had a little chocolate in the last year. And I also kind of was like, ugh, what the? Is this just age? Is this my taste buds and olfactory system failing to deliver the signals that a younger me might have? No, it's actually The people who produce the cocoa want to be paid with some degree of dignity. And I'm sure their demands. I saw another thing about this. Is why I don't have it this site in front of me. But, it's some country that American and Western imperial corporate powers have been extracting wealth from. Well, they want a better deal for all the work that they do, providing this delicious, tasty, smile-inducing, love-maxing substance we call cocoa, which, of course, if you've ever seen it as it's grown, it's actually fucking gross. It's like this white beetle larvae-looking globs. But they process it and they roast it and it turns brown. And, of course, we all love chocolate. Who the fuck doesn't love a nice piece of chocolate? It's the sugar. Let's be honest. It's not actually the cocoa part is nice, but it needs that sugar to bring it to life. Why am I rambling? Those people deserve more money for their goddamn cocoa work, providing it for these fat cats in Wall Street. I don't think we should be divvying up money based on what the computers say has been traded. We should be divvying up money and taxes and income and all these class thresholds based on whether your job involves tools or not. Do you sit in air conditioning? Then you don't get to live in the lap of luxury. The motherfuckers out there picking strawberries, those motherfuckers picking the cocoa, those motherfuckers doing woodworking. Look, pointing behind me. I can't do much anymore, but the people sweating, breathing in the toxic fumes, people holding a toilet brush, that cleaning toilets. I mean, janitors and cleaning humans. These are actual work. It's actual jobs. If you're sitting around in a goddamn meeting saying, yes, okay, I approve that. And then your approval of something induces like a whole supply chain to buzz around a little bit, a bunch of people being disrespected and toiling away while all you did was just approve something on a computer screen that some nervous underling put in front of you, and somehow you make millions of dollars off of that. Bullshit. I'm critiquing ownership, everybody. We have to actually examine this topic. It's the fundamental flaw with private ownership of all this stuff is that it doesn't come with the concept of responsibility. In fact, that's kind of the whole point of it, is that there is no responsibility. The only way to have a hope of responsibility come forward from the concept of ownership is collective ownership, because then you have to negotiate fairness with other people, make decisions collectively, and it usually means people aren't going to want to poison their children or, have all sorts of horrible products in their products, food process, processed foods and poisons. And but poison's good for business. The capitalists love them some good poisoning, which is why the Trump administration has, gotten rid of any, there's used to be, none of this is what I had planned. There's something about the EPA having to include concerns. I'm looking at to make sure we're recording. Yes, it is. Concerns about how pollution might affect life, humans and otherwise. They got rid of that part. Only consider how it affects business and bottom line. It's disgusting. So, okay. All right. Geez, man, I have so much to say. This always happens. It bottles up for like 2 months. And then I just over prepare. And then I get tired from over preparing. So I lose my spark that I had about 2 hours ago. And then I get exhausted from setting. The lights behind me are like, oh shit, is it frozen up now? God damn it. Hold on. Okay, we're back. I don't know why it's been freezing up. This camera is starting to act goofy. I just hope it's not the connection. Meaning, like, I get frustrated when we have to trash decent, good electronics because the little connector thing wears out or something like that. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't keep happening, because I usually keep it's out of my view because it's distracting. But if I can't see it, then I can't tell when it's frozen. So, what was I saying about cocoa? It's just such a whole bunch of bullshit. How much we are all being robbed by the ruling class of this country. Especially, it couldn't be more obvious with what's going on with Trump. I'm making a documentary about a labor battle, a fight in the class war. My entire project is a fight in the class war. It's not a fight that Cenk Uygur wants to have, even though he started it. I'm just willing to put in the work and go through the alopecia, the stress-induced alopecia to finish this fight. And hopefully we'll get some more support going forward in 2026 as things start to get cooking. I'm very impatient to get working on it, even though I know that I'm in for a pretty rough lift all the 2.5+ years of editing that went into the 84 minutes of the film that's available now if you'd like to watch that. There's about another, I would think, 6 months of editing to go if I really could focus properly. My life is a constant struggle with the tigers in my head to keep my focus working and my attention tunnel built. I have a very sensitive disposition in terms of my ability to concentrate. Although when I do get hyper dialed in on something, it's almost wild horsemen can't tear me apart, tear me away if they try. Well, they could easily. Honestly, a fucking crow farting outside will distract me. Autistic ADHD. So I've been battling a lot of that for a long time. But so I'm getting closer to finally shifting more attention. I'm going to hope to do a weekly podcast. I'm going to also just start working on the documentary. I mean, the kind of main thrust of what I'm going to do once I finish this work I'm doing, that's kind of what's holding me up, is I'm editing a feature length. It's a short feature, so it's like 60 to 70 minutes. But it's a pretty involved project for somebody that I'm going to be sharing more about soon. Of course, you'll learn more about it quite a bit. Been recording episodes for my new show, Pixel Mover, which is sort of a thing I'm hoping that I can transition to after I finish the Young Turks project, because I'm hoping to make tutorials or possibly lessons or some sort of way of monetizing all the skill I have with DaVinci, Premiere, Photoshop, animation, and kind of share that whole under the hood sort of production process while making also shorter clips. I already have the channel Pixel Mover Productions, but yeah, so I've got a bunch of episodes recorded and there's nothing posted because I've been too busy working on it. It aligns with the work I'm going to do on the Young Turks project, because that's a way to sort of force myself to. It's almost like it's easier for me to do like a 4-hour like stream podcast on work than it is if I just sat here trying to do it, because then it like the extra complication of recording something for the internet makes me focus a little bit better. So not everything, obviously, it's just way too much, but really excited to sort of roll that out. But it's all blocked up. I've got a big old kidney stone in the shape of this film I'm editing. It's worthwhile work though, because like even though I have had moments of frustration, I didn't understand how involved. Well, it's not say understand, but like my ignorance was understandable because going in, like I had the skill to say yes to a project like this, but also like I had to learn a lot as well, as far as setting up a huge edit with, tons of camera footage, 4K camera footage. I had to buy the proper version of DaVinci in order to handle 10-bit color profile, 10-bit data depth on the footage, blah, 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 blah. Right now I'm in the middle of the dialogue mix, which is a freaking nightmare. Just imagine watching like an hour-long show with lots of talking, and then someone has to go in there and precisely edit literally every single bit of dialogue, but not just like choose what dialogue is in there. I already did that. That was all part of the visual edit. That was part of like the matching camera cuts and stuff. That itself was a really fascinating and intense process. It's challenging for sure. And I look forward to doing more of it. I actually think I've got quite a knack for it, for narrative editing. Really good at pacing, I like to say. But and tone and shit like that. But the dialogue requires me to like create. This is not nested sequences. That's a Premiere term. These are called compound clips in DaVinci. And then going in and choosing microphones and then tweaking little bits and upping and and turning on layers, turning off layers. And now I have to go through a whole nother pass of sound processing. It is also messing up my computer. And yeah, so it's been and it's like, I can't do anything else while I'm doing one thing, which is why once this is done, and I've already said I'm going to do multiple things at once, but I'm hoping they sort of align. But more about the TYT on the way for sure. You'll see a lot more about it coming up, and consider helping promote the project or to anybody who's donated. I still have to reach out to people about getting into the credits. I'm going to do some sort of credits thing. I want to like make that a little bit more clear as far as the value proposition goes for further future communications about this project. But nothing. Please contribute donating. You can do coffee, buy me a coffee, PayPal Direct, Patreon, or GoFundMe. Every little bit is a major help. I'm gonna be doing like a fundraiser push later on. It's all just to pay back rent debt, and the dream is to just get enough money to fund me to clear my debt, and then I can say goodbye to LA, and then like afford to move out of LA, and afford to live somewhere else. That's also an important part of it as well, because I can't really afford to live anywhere as is currently. Okay, so coming up today, we got a PBD thing to look at. I'm gonna get mad about Donald Trump wearing a hat at the Dead Soldiers. Gonna check in on the No Kings rally that's going on. And there's one or two other things. Oh yeah, we got robots. We're talking. I think we're gonna hit it at two different angles. One is Melania, and I think PBD talked robot. I don't know. I just caught a random thing that we're gonna watch. And I'll react. I'm not even really sure if it's worth doing. But Melania introduced a robot to the world, as you guys are probably already aware. So that's nice. World War III has already started. These pedophile billionaires who we have to send our tax money to want more money. And they're going to give away all kinds of free money to all their defense contractor buddies and the people who invest in those companies, while depriving the society that they are taking advantage of from as many healthy nutrients as possible. We are all desiccated and worn out. We are deprived of each other's safety. That's the main thing that we are lacking. We are suffering. We are parched for the peace of our neighbors. That's the primary thing. You can tell a lot about what it's a little bit in the, I don't want to say mysticism, that's not the right word, but one way you can tell about how something is happening is by what didn't happen. So you kind of have to not divine. You sort of have to like with good faith confidence and good faith assumption making, play it forward as if something were to happen. For instance, I think about this a lot. Again, not what I was going to talk about. God damn it. Is the Democratic Party. What didn't happen when their leaders started a genocide and were doing a genocide with their genocide buddies over there in that land of the genocide. What didn't happen is the Democratic average voter didn't rise up. There was no revolt. There was no, oh my God. Like if you work at an ice cream shop and suddenly the manager just starts murdering a bunch of people, and you'd be like, hey, everybody, we got to do something. We're being led by people who are murdering people. They didn't do nothing like that. There's lots of upset within the Democratic Party, and I'm not going to relitigate the Harris debacle, all the fucking horrible campaign wheeling out the corpse of fat Skeletor, Dick Cheney, with his horrible daughter, those evil fucking people, to try to get Republicans to vote for them. They picked the two people, not the two, but two people Republicans hate as a means. The fact that the Democratic Party was a refuge for Dick Cheney says all you need to know. But what else? The other all you need to know, that's not how it works, is that the average, it's not fair to place this on like the agency of any one person, but just that what didn't happen is that the leaders of like all the top brass of the Democratic Party, and many of them are still in charge. Schumer, Jeffries, he's basically if Nancy Pelosi got bit by a wooden werewolf or something, like a horrible, I don't know what but they're evil. These are war criminals. These people murdered hundreds of thousands of people. The official count is somewhere in the 70,000s, but they're only counting people that they were able to identify as being dead. It's certainly the real number is way higher than that. It's just unbelievable, and that's where we are. It created this major cleft within the voting bloc that might try to stop the Republican Party, and many people just didn't want to show up to vote, or they found it incredibly distasteful to support the war criminal Kamala Harris, promising to continue Joe Biden's war crimes. And they put forward candidates that are inept at domestic politics so much that they lose to Donald Trump. How could you be less popular than Donald Trump? I mean, it's unfucking believable. And on the I hate what they call war or all these foreign military invasions and destructions of innocent people's lives. Just foreign policy. It makes my skin crawl when we just dismiss it as foreign policy. But of course, the Democratic Party are led by war criminals. The Republican Party is too. It's not like there's any different. I mean, there are certainly substantial differences, but the thing that didn't happen is that the voting base of the Democrats didn't rise up to stop their leader from murdering tens of thousands of children with starvation, with snipers, with malnutrition. I guess that would be included in starvation, with tanks and just brutal. We provide. They were just handing them the bullets. Oh, you shot a kid? Good. Here's another bullet. I wrote my name, Joe Biden, on it. There, keep shooting them. Oh, let's play games. Let's shoot them. Today we're going to shoot kids in the groin. Today. Tomorrow we'll shoot kids in the chest. That'll be fun for us. These evil fucking people over there that our government is fully supportive of, and that is. And what I'm referring to is what is something that happened. It was reported by doctors working in hospitals that Western. Right. I feel even gross saying the word Western, but like people from outside Gaza are incredibly brave to go in there and do work in those hospitals and in wherever they can. Far more brave than I am. That's for fucking sure. And they had reported back that like they noticed a strange pattern that they would get multiple victims in that day, but they would all have the same kind of shot, the same sniper hit. And it was like one day they noticed everybody got hit in the groin, and then they noticed everybody was being shot in the head the next. Like it was identifiable patterns that they came back with some info. It's just it's fucking sick. God. Okay. Well, good. That's good. Okay, good. It's my all right. What a show. Welcome to the show, everybody. Feel free to unsubscribe and just check back in on the documentary when you can, because that's what happens is whenever there's anything that causes a lurch in subscribers, it's ain't for everybody, and then they'll tune out. But if you do want to watch me play video games, go to Suck Professor. I don't have it on screen. I can pull it up real quick. Suck Professor on YouTube. I'm actually going to record a little bit more today to get my Valheim going again. Let me click on videos to give you there we go. Yeah, Suck Professor's fun. These are a little on the old side. Look, these got huge numbers. 20 views, 8 views, 14. These are me podcasting and talking. I love the decorating. I like to it's kind of like Viking Minecraft. And so I have this big base with a whole bunch of abandoned projects. And that's basically what my life is like as well. So check those out. Going to work on some more of that. Pixel Movers coming up. And of course, work on Tell the Truth Jank is about to get hit up in full swing. So very fun. All right, let's, what else? Did I have any other personal stuff? Did a little bit of woodworking. That felt good. I've got a whole bunch of like almost completed small items that I never got around to finishing. This is just a piece of wood that's just a cut off. I don't know why. For some reason, I've got it right here. This would make a nice edge to a tray someday, or I could carve notches in it and put more shelves in it and then turn this into some sort of shelf for your knickknacks or your gym crack or your claptrap. I think that's more of a ideas and words thing than an actual physical item thing. But it felt really nice. I cleaned up a little bit of the balcony wood shop because it had gone kind of gross and, needed a little attention. Wrists, I have messed up wrists from my woodworking job. So I every time I do a little woodworking, I pay a bit of a price. So I just did some sanding, and then I applied some stain, some boiled linseed oil, BLO as we woodworkers call it, to a piece, and excited to see it coming together. So I want to work on other stuff. Yeah, that'll be fun. All right, yeah, that's why did I have to tell you that? I'm happy to do the woodworking is so rewarding. It's so nice to get off the goddamn phone and do some stuff. I really miss having fully functional hands because that was nice back when I had fully functional hands. I can't put pressure or weight on my hands in bent positions. But so hey, who needs hands, huh? Come on, overrated. But so yeah, work on the other film. I'm sure the guy wouldn't care if I was already talking about it, but I'll just wait till it's more of a formal thing. And I really hope it leads to other work on bigger films or like that type of editing, doing YouTube, podcast, talk show, documentary stuff. I mean, of course, I'd like to do more like properly funded documentaries. That would be cool. I did some work on Abby Martin's latest movie, Earth's Greatest Enemy, as you've heard me talk about. I was an assistant editor, didn't do a ton compared to the main editor, who's super brilliant, Taylor Gill, very, very, very talented guy. And so, I'm hoping these things kind of lead to other opportunities, and the kind of opportunities that let me live indoors and buy food, maybe even car insurance. Wouldn't that be fun? And then I could go visit various lovers in all 50 states. I was sitting there wondering where I am, growing their hair out for the inevitability that I will need to ascend the Tower of Love up to where they're imprisoned. Fun. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, good stuff. Been walking too, trying to lose weight, eating better now, less carbs, trying not to eat at 10 o'clock at night. It's bad to eat right before you go to sleep or that late, especially a lot of food, meaning like a full meal. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, that's the personal stuff. Let's jump over to some of our stories here. I did want to jump in on Leftist Mafia's latest episode with former colleague of mine, Francesca Fiorentini. I actually appeared on the Leftist Mafia 2025 to talk about the project, the documentary. I was actually, I still haven't gotten back to watching it because I feel very embarrassed at how hyper I was. I was exhausted. I was too tired to mask my autism and ADHD, so I was like fucking hyper as shit because I'd been working. I was just launching the Fundraiser, and I had been just busting my ass for like 2 days making a trailer and then editing this Fundraiser. I even tried to start the website we just looked at. I was trying to make this all in one day. Not it didn't. It was a whole, but I was just panic editing before that appearance. I didn't give myself any time to unwind, and I was tired. And I didn't have the energy to mask. It's kind of counterintuitive that the hyperness was worse because I was tired. It's not because I had extra energy. It's because I didn't have enough energy to hold it down and to keep those tigers from whiling about inside my brain. Whereas what I generally do with and uses up a lot of my energy is punch those fucking tigers in the face and say, you can think about my mom later, because my mom will call and my brain goes, I got all kinds of old memories. And then I go, fucking tigers, get back in the cage. So when I appeared on Leftist Mafia, I was hyper. I think I did a fine enough job, but it's like a sensitive memory for me. Anyway, it's a good show. It's a bunch of these people with YouTube channels, Lance from the Surfs, Matt Bender, Mike Figueredo, and he's in the documentary. He actually was very cool about the way I portrayed him and the role he played during the Young Turks Union busting. And David Doyle, Ariana Jasmine, and Rebecca Azor round out the cast. They're not always there. Anyway, Francesca was on the show. Francesca Fiorentini of the Bituation Room. I'm sure if you're familiar with my stuff, you obviously know who she is, but she's a former Young Turks contributor, contractor, and she has very much to her credit, after a contentious breakup with TYT. I'm sure you followed the beats over the last year or two. I've certainly been talking about them somewhat on here, but she's willing to continue to pugilist against, metaphorically, against TYT and call out a bunch of the bullshit. So this is really much worth watching if you're into the TYT stuff. Lots of good tea spilled. Vanguard has done a bit of coverage on it. I just wanted to play this moment because she brought up someone very special to you, me, and my mom.
You've done some really, good work. It's
Thank you.
It's not pleasant. And shout out to Hank Thompson for it's painful actually to look at all these, TYT clips.
Yeah. Thank you, Francesca. That's fucking Jesus. Thank you. I appreciate that shout out to me, Hank Thompson. It's fucking painful. I'm so sick of it. I'm so goddamn exhausted by it all. So part of the reason it's taken forever. I just need to take. Jank is not a pleasant personality type to have so closely inhabited in your brain, and I feel an obligation to track stuff because I'm doing a documentary about misinformation and about the the lie that they told about the union, and I just wish I'm just so eager to spend my time doing other things and get away from it all. I didn't initiate this whole thing. They called me up to have me come in and work. And on a Monday, like they called me on a Friday and asked me to start on a Monday. That goes back to 2018. And then the working conditions of that time period is what drove us to start this union. There was actually a previous union effort that had gone dormant that I woke up, but we were going to try to start a union anyway. And so, yeah, it's just really annoying that when I think about what makes me mad, it's mainly the fact that they invited me in and started this bullshit. And then I defended myself by starting a union. It was working full time for zero benefits under multiple classifications that we unionize. And then the guy lies about the story that starts the union, which is the story I lived. So I appreciate that she's acknowledging that, because I know that she's has a good heart and doesn't take this stuff like it hurts to have to wade into these waters a lot. And there's, I think inevitably my project and kind of a lot of what happens with Francesca and the coverage Vanguard does, or, with Majority Report too, with Emma Vigland. And, she's been on the receiving end of some of Jank's bullshit, and she'll swipe back at them and stuff. And that's good. She should. There's a drama kind of aspect to all of it. There's sort of that layer of drama bubble. But if you kind of swim through that, you know how like the ocean will be like, oh, when you swim past this layer, it's all carbon dioxide. It's not, but like there's like crazy shit happens down in caves and oceans. That sounds so stupid, but like it'll be like a whole different layer. Like get past that drama layer, and we're talking about really serious things. We're talking about absolutely, and they get into a little bit in this too. So, hopefully, as my project gains more attention and things start cooking, I'll be able to like talk about those aspects of it, the concepts of leverage and power dynamics and solidarity versus like the two social models that I'm developing. I want to write a whole book about all of it, not just precisely the TYT stuff, but about my concepts of leverage and stuff. I kind of want to do a comedic take on Karl Marx sort of thing. And, cause he did a very serious take on the way I think. What am I saying? He can grow a great beard. I can't grow a beard at all. So kind of like we're meant for each other, isn't it? But work is the thing we all do all the time. And yet people don't seem to really interrogate the premise all that much. I know it's happening more and more, but the notion that like we shouldn't, as a collective, just kind of come around and be like, hey, maybe the system designed by a bunch of human trafficking, kidnapping, rapists, torturers, racists, pieces of shit, just the world's worst people, the people who conducted chattel slavery and imposed their will all throughout the planet, the colonizers of Britain and America and the English, not just the English, the English who sound crazy, the rest of Europe. All of these fucking psychos going all over the world, destroying cultures and just robbing, stealing, and mugging, and just doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like maybe we should reassess the systems that they built for us to operate in. Maybe that's a healthy impulse. And work is one of those, for sure. It should be. It's one of the main ones, if not the main one, to be honest. Because all a country really seems to me to be is just a way for capitalists to manage labor pools. These trading relationships and all this other shit. The billionaires don't have the same map as you do. If you map your freedom on a picture of the planet, they got a whole different map than you do. You're restricted. You got all kinds of hoops you got to jump through. They don't. They don't have anything. They turned community into a luxury product that can be bought on a market. Whereas, the way that the human default is to live with the assurance that the human superpower of working together to do something, because it's always easier to have multiple, like 5 people can do something faster than 2 people, depending on maybe if it's tying a tie, 5 people is not the ideal number for tying a single tie. We could come up with outlandish examples or outlandish exceptions, but that's the human superpower. And so the master class, the billionaire class, the Epstein class, the child rapist class, the Donald Trumps of the world, the Joe Bidens of the world, the child torturers like Kamala Harris, like Chuck Schumer, Jamie Harrison, all these evil people that run the Democratic Party, they just want your labor. They designed a system to prevent you from having access to your freedom. I had a better ending to that sentence, but I lost track of it in the middle of it, what the masterclass wants. The whole system is just about their exploitation of you. And they are very expensive. There's nothing more expensive in this world than rich people. They are the greatest expense in your life, and it's not even close. All this, I can't afford health insurance. No, you can't afford rich people. It's not cost of living. It's cost of rich people. They're charging you to live. Let's put some people into these equations so we can identify what the problem is so we can figure out solutions. What's the solution to the cost of living? Lower the cost? What's the solution to the cost of rich people? Stop paying that cost. Why do we have these freeloading parasites on our like standing as toll booths in front of every human need, in front of basic human needs? I'm not talking about Chanel handbags. I'm talking about clean water, safe roofs that don't have mold indoors. Okay. Thanks, Francesca. I loved hearing that. That was great. She actually goes on. Let's get back to that. Actually, we rewind a bit here. Hang on. There we go. She brings up some information about Anna Kasparian at the Pearl debate. Now, if you watched the Vanguard coverage, you might have missed this one. Of course, if you watched the Leftist Mafia, you didn't. But here, let's pick this up. This is a few minutes before what we just watched.
I just found out Anna, you know how Anna debated Pearl that way?
Yeah.
That was real funny.
Somebody told me how much she made from that.
Right?
How much did she make from that?
Okay, so Matt talked over Francesca. That's okay. That's what happens. But he said she just stood there. She actually said she found out how much Pearl or Anna made. Now, assuming she's got a credible source, I don't think she would just come out of nowhere with this, with just something that's not at least somewhat credible, right?
Now I need to know.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Let me
Wait,
just...
the fact that anybody has made money from debates.
I know who it was. Now I know who it was. I think. Yeah. She made a lot of money. Anna made a lot of money from that debate.
We talking
How much?
6 figures? What are we talking?
No, not 6 figures.
Okay,
That'd
I
be
was gonna
fucking
say
insane.
that would be
Then I would
outrageous. I'm
wanna-
debating immediately.
No, then I would want to like punch her. No, like a couple.
Just to be clear, the puncher is referring to a super chat question about would you have a boxing match with Anna Jank? It was like, so she's playing with that concept. She, out of context, saying then I would punch her sounds kind of bad. She's not just being like then I would be. She's referring back to a previous thing they were joking about because of a super chat. Just to be very clear.
Well, what was it? Something like 20K.
What?
Ow. Tim Pool wouldn't play for my plane ticket.
Whoa.
I'm not sure what Lance is talking about. Tim Pool playing something for the painting. I don't know what obviously he's referring to something. I just don't know what. But yeah, somewhere like 20K, 25K.
Which is crazy.
20K?
Yeah, or like 25, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I got to do some fucking debates.
I know.
Seriously, bro. I think I made that much money in like the last 2 or 3 years, maybe. Like total, like add up to 2 or 3 years. Showing up to 1. That's crazy.
I know.
Like, what?
That was like the one thing where she did well.
She did do well in that, yeah.
But also, didn't Pearl
She
just
did.
like freeze up and was like,
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, she didn't do nothing.
Yeah, Pearl actually, she's like people will insult her with the phrase "pick me," trying to get the attention of the manosphere guys. She's very much a defender of the rights of men and the plight of the modern man and all the things that have all the ways that us boys just can't catch a lucky break because of those gosh darn women. That debate with Francesca the debate with Anna, Pearl versus Anna, that Anna was paid 20 or 25K for. I hope Pearl got the same. It'd be shitty if they didn't get the same amount, but sometimes that might be how it gets negotiated. But their topic was feminism. And we're going to jump over to an interview Anna did, and we'll see a little bit more about the Pearl debate. Okay, so back to February 25th, 2026, Anna Kasparian on the Nina Infinity podcast. This went around a little bit in the reaction industry, the reaction cycles. They talk about the Pearl debate, and so we have a little bit more insight. She doesn't mention anything about how much she was paid or anything, but there is a point here where she expresses how she feels about the topic they debated, the topic of feminism. Here we go.
Let me tell you something
Right.
that I've never talked about publicly. And I actually don't know what you two will think about it, but
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Yeah.
Little sip.
After I did not feel good about myself after the debate with Pearl. I think that
I didn't feel good about myself.
I went
either.
for the jugular and I went for it right away. And I'll tell you why. I did not have time to prepare for that debate. And by the way, that whole topic isn't even my wheelhouse. Like, I don't really give a shit about that topic. I'm going to keep it real.
That whole topic, feminism, shouldn't, whatever. Yeah. Arguing against Pearl doesn't take it. It's not that much of a heavy lift if you don't have a lot of time to debate. It's a lot of the same old bullshit bromides that we've all been hearing for years. They love to get that kind of style of arguing too, where you just get bogged down in some pedantic flagellation. I was trying to think of a synonym. Self-flagellation about stats or some study or something of this or that. And Pearl was not a very formidable opponent compared to Anna's a strong debater, whatever that even fucking means. So it was a bit of an outmatched kind of battle, much like it would be if and when Joe Rogan takes on Cenk Uygur in the octagon. Let's make it happen, White House promotional staff. Come on, UFC fight. Rogan gives Cenk Uygur a limp. Not that that would be my prediction, but Cenk's been pining to battle Joe Rogan in the field of physical combat. Okay, sorry for the distract. Go.
However,
I'm sorry, really quickly, Anna. Which topic, just so our audience knows, which topic was it?
It was the feminism. It was a debate about feminism.
She had to act like she didn't even remember. She was like,
which we've covered on this channel. And you were, I think that's what you were debating her on was did feminism on Western culture.
Yeah,
okay. Western.
Exactly. And I think that there are it's mixed to some extent, right? But like I feel pretty damn empowered. So it's like I'm at a disadvantage in some ways, and like I don't have time to prep for this. This isn't my wheelhouse. They're offering me some nice money. It seems like it'd be easy to debate Pearl, whatever. I literally started prepping for it the day of. I wrote my opening statement the day of. But as I was preparing, I watched video after video after video of Pearl being a bit of a cunt, to all sorts of women.
This being Pearl, you mean?
Pearl, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, this is her style. This is how she carries herself. Mm-hmm. This is the way she disrespects other women. So I'll come in swinging. And I know she cried in the intermission. The organizers of the event came to me and like asked me, hey, maybe for the second half, we don't do a debate. Maybe we take questions from the audience. The whole format was wacky. The entire event was like 7 hours. It was in this room. They didn't fill it out at all. Meaning like there's all these empty chairs in some of the shots. So they had people sort of squeezed up towards the front. A very dude bro, Men's Rights Act, MRA type audience. She's going to give a little bit of detail about that here. So like all imbued with the DNA of the kind of ugly side of American culture currently. They had Gavin not Gavin Newsom, he's horrible. Gavin from the Fox News, the Proud Boys founder, the founder of the Republican street gang. What the fuck? I can't think of his last name. Well, he's a horrible guy. Gavin founded Vice. He was not Shane Smith. I think that's the guy's name, right? McGinnis, just a horrible guy. He was there doing his bullshit. Sam Tripoli, I think was the other comedian. There was I don't know her name. She does streams, and young woman who does like kind of lefty commentary, I think. She did a good job. At least they did have at least some sort of pushback to the overwhelming misogyny that was being put forth. But even just the whole topic of throwing Pearl up with Anna Kasparian, as some sort of suggestion that the centrist Anna Kasparian is bringing, what they would all probably think is far left perspectives. And here she admits she doesn't even really give a shit about the topic of feminism. Yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous, the whole thing, but a bit of a viper den, a bit of a snake's nest here, as Anna's about to explain. This was full of her
crowd, and
they were
like
her supporters. Yeah.
yeah, they were like calling me bitch and like all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking questions from the audience. We never agreed to that. It's not in the contract. We're going to finish the debate, but I'll back off. I promise to back.
There was the format. You know, they had like a whole sequence or whole time break broken out for Pearl and Anna to ask each other questions, like in some kind of debate back and forth. Like the host of it should have stepped in and stopped. It just was silly. It just didn't make any, like they needed more structure. And it was their first time. I think, I'm not even sure what the whole deal was. Any first time media production, if singular event, special event thing, obviously they had some funding. If Anna was getting $20K for the appearance, assuming Pearl probably got that. There was some other, they did two other debates over different topics. But the format itself needed a lot of work. It needed to be shortened, and it needed better moderation. And so it did get very awkward. If you feel like torturing yourself, go find the world. It's called the Word War One debate. Word War One. Great play on words. Just brilliant. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss right on your taint. Real good. Here we go. More.
And I did. In the second half, I tried my best to back off.
Wow.
But anyway, long story short, I didn't like the way I treated her. So I kept telling myself I'm going to reach out to her and I'm just going to say, look, you could have a really bright future. You're just sucked into a really bad crowd and you think this is how you're going to succeed in life. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So like, just, you know, I believe that you can do better.
Little men,
like, and not in a condescending or patronizing.
A little bit of mentoring. Anna's older than Pearl, sure. So, you know, that's nice that she might reach out.
Way, you know. But then she kept like talking shit. And it's like, and then finally my husband was like, who was open to me reaching out to her, is like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe you don't.
On some sort of reaction stream, you know, Pearl was processing the whole thing. And she did say that she wished she could have gone over and beaten up Anna. She's much bigger than Anna. And she probably, you know, she has the physical advantage in that sense. Not cool, you know, when your reaction to losing is to like turn to violence. It's generally a reaction of frustration, you know, the American impulse to settle your emotional overwhelm by hurting somebody else with physical violence. That works on small scales. It works within families. It works outside of families. It works on national scales. And it's the root foundation of all of society, and especially now with our hyper-violent, hyper-psychopathic ruling elite that are in charge right now. Yeah, that's the thing I was trying to get at earlier when I was rambling about the billionaires, is like the whole point of the root of society. When I was saying everything is going to be worse no matter what, that's always going to be true until stress stops being the root function of the economy. The root function of the economy is that you're more you have less leverage when you're tired and when you're distracted and then when you're exhausted and you're scared. So the more closer to precarity you live, the more stress you experience, the less leverage you have, the more your bosses can take advantage of that condition in order to produce labor and unit and value producing units from you. I'll probably get going on my labor jag when we get over to the robot section of today's broadcast. I've got a lot of great insights for that. But the root function of it is stress. They want you stressed so that they can control how much bullshit you'll put up with. That's basically the thesis of Tell the Truth, Jank. They want, like, my stress was useful to Jank because it meant I didn't have leverage to negotiate. But as a collective, starting a union, that gave me leverage that wasn't previously there, in hopes that eventually I'd be able to get paid days off and health insurance and bonus and other benefits along that are in line with other workers that anyway, that's society. You've heard me talk about that before. So back to Francesca on the Leftist Mafia. They're wrapping up this little part.
A panic attack.
Yeah, an inanimate carpet rod could win that debate. Like, it wasn't necessarily. But yes, she did do well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, let's have you debate AI Rosa Luxemburg, okay, Anna? Let's take on a real feminist. Glenn Beck interviewed AI George Washington. Why are we interviewing AI Rosa Luxemburg, huh? AI Angela Davis? AI Oprah?
By the way, Anna, we all know the story, like, Anna told me that her family's going through a health crisis, and they were, and I was gonna have her come on my show to kind of as like a closing salvo, like, hey, we're kind of drifting. I see what you're posting. Maybe we have one final like discussion on my show, and then c'est la vie.
Nice.
So she's talking back in like 2024. This is sort of the period between the very intense election had just occurred with the Harris campaign, falling flat on their face to the evil monsters. How could you lose? How could you fucking lose to? And so Donald Trump now wins. He's not yet been made president, and this is also when Cenk sort of makes this major. He had already been showing indications of his turn, but he makes this whole thing about how optimistic he is that the establishment has been defeated with the election of the second coming of the Fourth Reich, of the dumbest fucking imbecile, Nazi king we could ever foist onto ourselves in the world, the human embodiment of every single thing that's wrong with the American character and the American project and colonialism itself. So people such as Francesca had been making some noises about it too, and Cenk agreed to come on her show. That's the December 2020. I think it was December 27th, but just December 2024 is when they had that conversation. So she's going to refer to that. And so leading up to that, she's talking about trying to also have a conversation with Anna. As you recall, Francesca brought me up during that interview too, where Cenk cackled with hatred at the mere suggestion that I was a good guy, and he freaked out.
But I knew Hank was such a great guy, and Emma and Ben are such. I'm just saying. I'm telling you.
So you've seen me play that already before. Here we go.
She had a family emergency, and then I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, we'll rain check after the election. This was right before the election. And then I saw her the next week on, oh my God, who's the...
It was Glenn Beck.
I was like, Colonel Sanders. Yeah. She's on fucking Glenn Beck. Then I was like, all right, well. And then Cenk came on, and I think after Cenk came on my show, Anna was like, peace, I'm not going to do that. But yes, I'm absolutely willing to talk to Anna. Very curious.
I am too. I'm still willing to talk to both of them.
Anna, everybody wants to talk to you. I'd love to have a conversation with Anna. I used to talk with her at the Young Turks, not a ton, but I always felt like she had a lot of, I felt respect. It felt like a coworker. She's cool, fine. I'd even told her about all my working conditions one day at Beach Day. We were both kind of early as part of this, like kind of a day thing. And I didn't tell her that we were organizing a union. I kept that private on Beach Day, but I did tell her about the, working full time, being called part time while working 40-hour weeks. I don't know if she remembers. I'm not sure. It is unfortunate, when the union came forward, that she did help do union busting, and she helped Cenk spread the lie about the origin of the union. But if you talk about, and now it's awesome that Mike and Francesca want to talk to her and have an open invitation. Sam Cedar has an open invitation to Cenk to come on their show. Cenk doesn't seem very interested in speaking to left shows much anymore. The era of them appealing to left audiences only seems to be over. But let's head over to that appearance precisely on Glenn Beck with Anna Kasparian. They did talk about unions, and she let him know. First, they're very, very friendly. If we jump to the opening, he's doing an ad before the show for texting the word baby to something called preborn.
For a generous match, your gift is going to be doubled. To donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby, then /Glenn, sponsored by Preborn.
They say ultrasounds save lives. It says something. I'm sure it's some way of, abusing women and trying to maintain the structural hegemony of men over women, as Pearl would argue for. So, okay, we got this whole intro. Great. Here's Anna Kasparian on the Glenn Beck Show. Now, Francesca is heavily implying that the canceling an appearance on the Habituation Room because of a family emergency might have actually been a cover. Maybe there was both a family emergency and she had time for Glenn Beck, or there was no family emergency, or it wasn't as big a deal. I don't want to assume, maybe Anna can clarify someday if she ever goes back on. Not that that's that important, but I get what she's pointing out, though. Like, oh, yeah, don't worry, we'll reschedule. And then Glenn Beck turns off the week later.
Very good.
Maybe everybody's family emergency is not enough Glenn Beck. You've been diagnosed with GBD, Glenn Beck deficiency. I had to stop and think.
buffer that one a little bit.
Thank you.
So for people who might not know who you are, how would you describe who you were?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've had some transition on some things. Who you were, how you would
She's transitioned on some things.
Identify yourself over the last 10 years.
Well, I would say that I was firmly identifying myself as a Democrat. I think that if you look at my policy prescriptions, for the most part, I'm still pretty much left-wing. There are some social...
I think that's true in a lot of ways. She probably would support higher taxes on wealthy, probably not as high as I'd like to see. She'd probably support universal health care. I think she's kind of there. I don't think the Young Turks overall as a company is as supportive of that in terms of where they were in the past. But, you know, Cenk's presidential campaign was about running on a public option, and, you know, they don't quite lean as hard on that, you know. So there's probably like some sort of left style politics that aren't completely over there. That's where this enlightened middleist nexus is kind of inhabits, because it can tolerate, you know, they're used to disagreeing on abortion in terms of their public statements, even though on the right, particularly in the upper classes, they all still will make use of abortion services to maintain their, you know, family planning. You know, the restrictions are very much for the working class and for the poor classes. So I don't think it's fair to say Anna's completely a hardcore right winger in a lot of ways. I think that's actually within the world of the right wing sphere. A lot of them like to kind of hold on to some left wing topic or left wing sort of threads, and she certainly has a background and a history in that too. So she's got a particularly unique set of knots to try to untie, and as she makes her you know, Rubin transition fully. I would describe her as anti-Israel conservative, whereas, you know, there's the Dave Rubin conservatives or the pro-Israel conservatives. But yeah, it's also safe to sort of be like, I'm for universal health care. It's the thing that we know for sure they'll never allow in our lifetimes. That they're always going to, you know. So okay, fine.
Social issues.
Hold on.
Hey everybody, Jack here from...
God damn it.
Definition of left
wing. There are some social issues
Hold on. Definition of left wing to you. Is that Democrat or left wing? What does that mean?
Well, left wing in regard to, you know,
blue hair, nose ring, Volvo, rainbows, voting.
I would say like one of my grounding political values is that workers should have better pay, better working conditions, a seat at the table, unionized labor, I think is incredibly
Does she? What?
important, which, you know, it's something that's been decimated in recent...
One of her grounding political values is unionized labor. Interesting. Then it's kind of weird that she tweeted out shit like this, where she was helping her boss stop a union effort at her company. This is her first, it's a 2-tweet thread here. This is featured strongly in the documentary, Tell the Truth, Cenk. As an employee of TYT who's not part of management and not involved in the business side, I'm the EP of the main show, meaning I have editorial say. I feel extremely uncomfortable with IATSE's endorsement of Cenk's congressional opponent, who does not share our progressive values. So she stood firm on her progressivism in order to stop a union because of the endorsement of Christy Smith. Admittedly, the IATSE, the union that we were joining, TYT union, is a smaller union that entered that petitioned to be part of IATSE. IATSE did endorse Christy Smith in the race, and that is what Cenk and Anna based their entire premise of the conspiracy lie around. And I admit that adds a degree of complication to the whole story and is a useful, but they, instead of going out of their way to fact check and to make sure, because what does IATSE's fucking endorsement of Christy Smith have to do with whether or not Young Turks workers were being disrespected and had exploitative working conditions that they'd been trying to solve for years? All the way, and started a union 18 months before the union came forward. So they use this as the proof, air quotes, that the union was started by Cenk's political foes when it actually was started by me and my friends, right? That's the lie at the core of the documentary that I'm making, Tell the Truth, Cenk. But it's worth pointing out, and I don't want to hide from that topic either. Cenk implies in this tweet that she's retweeting. He says, I wonder if she'll bring it up, referring to that night's debate. They were doing a candidate forum with all the candidates from that race. They didn't bring it up. If it was a big ploy, as he's saying, they were going to bring it up to try to hurt him. But they didn't bring it up. And it only hurts him if he says no to the union and does union busting. And after the election ended, he continued to do union busting. And if it was a mistake, if they just misunderstood things because of the fog of war at that time, like I say, like it makes sense if they were suspicious, if they needed a bit of time to find out if this was actually a Nancy Pelosi started union or if maybe Cenk's workers started the union. Maybe that's a story Cenk is afraid people would hear about because it undermines the entire message of his entire political and professional life. Maybe they needed a little bit more time to check into it, but I have very good sources and I'm an original source myself. They didn't do any fact checking before they went forward with shit like this. They just put out this email from somebody from, talking about how the IATSE is going to be doing some canvassing for Christy Smith, and then the TYT company statement, which is where they imply that this was other motives at play, which is, if you've seen the film, you've seen that part, of course. So this is the core of it. This is Anna helping do union busting. And I would be very, very shocked to learn that she didn't do any internal messaging regarding that. That's just pure speculation on my part there. Then she follows it up with, while I'm personally supportive of unions, this feels like it's done in bad faith. The fact that this all blew up on the day of Cenk's debate is also extremely suspicious. So this union is bad faith and suspicious. That's just her feeling. Where'd you get that information? Your feelings? This feels. Up here, I feel extremely uncomfortable. So she told Glenn Beck, before we play this real quick, just scroll one more here. It's IATSE. IATSE's voice is important. They're slandered by TYT's lie as well. They put out this statement. Our organizing efforts are all about the workers at TYT who joined together in union for representation and came to the IATSE for help. Uyghur's political campaign has nothing to do with this, but politics quickly became a handy distraction for him and TYT as they ignore the fact that their progressive, in quotes, media outlet failed to live up to its principles and voluntarily recognize the union of the workers, even though they had a majority of the unit. So they rejected that first election. This is all in the documentary. You're going to love it. It's so well made. It's so much fun. So doesn't seem like she's really telling Glenn Beck the full story about how she feels about unions. Like, she might mean what she's saying, but when you look at her behavior, all she's done with regards to a union that broke out with people whose labor produced her wealth, her fame, her success, was to try to bust it. When it came down to it, she threw down with management and has also been part of the cover up since then. They have an obligation to correct the story. She corrected her story reporting about Kyle Rittenhouse. And all I'm asking for Anna Kasparian to do is to show the coworkers of hers, people she's been friends with and has known for years, and whose labor produced her fame, success, and good fortune and riches, to treat them with the similar level of journalistic ethics as you treat Kyle Rittenhouse. Doesn't seem like a lot to ask. So here's her telling Glenn Beck again, this same thing.
Is that workers should have better pay, better working conditions, a seat at the table. Unionized labor, I think, is incredibly important, which, it's something that's been decimated in recent decades in this country. But that's like my number one interest in politics. And that's not really something that has really been favored by the Republican Party, traditionally speaking.
Or the executive producer of the Young Turks, or the management of the Young Turks. This is such a fucking joke, man. They do talk a little bit more about unions. So just because we're here, we're going to watch it. Oh, look at him. He's got his little hands in his big face. This is sort of white wing Santa Claus wants to have a no-fault divorce, wants to ban no-fault divorce with Mrs. Claus. Let's see what he says here. He gets going. They're talking about money.
That's right, Sky.
Yeah.
He's very good at pretending to be reasonable. Like, if your brain cells are worn out, the two brain cells in your brain are worn out from rubbing against each other, you might be confused and think that this fucking moron is reasonable in some way. Newsflash, he's not.
Why should it be $7 in New York City? That's like a dime.
Well, this is the thing. I actually think the model that you see in Scandinavian countries makes a lot more sense. They don't have federal minimum.
Like, that's where her leftism can kind of still inhabit to say, like, look at the Scandinavian, and that's not terrible. Maybe there's I'm being overly generous here. She might have access to right-wing spaces a lot more than others, and people are going to listen to her, and that's this whole big mess. But, you know, perhaps the word gets out a little bit that those nations aren't such terrible places to live. We call it socialism. It's not. They're capitalist countries that have more socialist principles in effect, and they do have different types of, labor management policies that are more favorable. Comes with some higher taxes. They have a higher redistribution via their social services, which is what we should have. So hopefully there's right-wingers because I would much rather live in a world and fight for improvement in a society like the Scandinavian countries over that. But it's also the lazy diametric. That's not the phrase. So whenever Cenk talks about capitalism and socialism, he'll be like, well, it's either Venezuela socialism or Scandinavia socialism. These things are different. It's mixed economies. And she'll say the same bullshit too. But let's let him talk.
Wages. You know what they have? They have unionized workers who get to negotiate working conditions and their pay with, like, collective bargaining, which makes way more sense. So for me,
it does.
Donald Trump choosing, a pro-labor secretary was a big deal, because voting in favor of the PRO Act, which does away with the intentional obstacles that prevent unionized labor from even.
Man, it's so unfortunate that people are out here trying to prevent unionized labor, isn't it, Anna? Isn't it? Just, geez, gosh, when are we finally going to come to our senses in this country and do something about the ways collective bargaining is being suppressed? Come on.
Forming is important to me. And so I would rather have the workers have a say over what they're getting paid and what their working conditions are.
Unless they're the workers her career is built on, then she's not that interested. Then it's not so much, because she's got loyalty to her boss, who was willing to let her trash her credibility in order to help bust a union, protect his political ambitions, and prevent the truth from getting out about how he doesn't actually live his principles or have those principles. When you say, that's the real truth of the film. That's why Cenk is afraid of having to actually tell the world what really happened.
Let me push back on it, because I actually
finance the old.
That's where you can get the Republican guy going, unions are actually kind of important and they're bad. FDR, like they'll talk about how in the past they're not necessary anymore. We don't need to keep going on about that. I've been at this long enough. Okay, fuck it. We'll do it. Geez, this is going to be another 10-hour podcast. So, Glenn Beck, it's hard to get booked. It's hard to get bookings. Getting high-profile guests is a game that we in the media biz play. I've been battling, and I've encountered this whole thing within my career as a lowly open micer doing comedy shows and hoping to get booked on other shows and eventually starting to get booked. And same with podcasting. It's all about relationships. It's all about reaching out, not being annoying, stuff, all those things I'm terrible at. So I struggle to get guests, and it stresses me out. But Glenn Beck managed to score a huge guest, major booking, bigger than the Dalai Lama. This is like 4 Dalai Lamas and plus 1.5 Mother Teresas. Just wait. You'll be stunned.
And just by playing, this is a fascinating thing you did. You interviewed an AI version of George Washington. And
for my audio only friends, this is Piers Morgan talking.
I just want to play a clip from that because it's very pertinent, I think. Let's take a look.
Okay.
I said once, to prepare for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. That's not saber rattling. That's different. It's insurance.
He should end his sentences with, yo. It's insurance, yo.
Think of it like this. A homeowner who never locks their door isn't more peaceful. They're just more vulnerable. During the revolution, even some Virginian leaders...
This is George Washington, the AI George Washington. Glenn Beck is interviewing him. They cut away to Glenn Beck. I'll pause it on a Glenn Beck shot. I like that he has fucked up lower teeth. That's a safe assumption, especially from back then. He's known for having wooden / his victim's teeth in his mouth.
Just more vulnerable.
There's Glenn Beck listening to George Washington. He's probably staring at his producer in this shot. He had to probably look at a real person to make it seem like he's looking at somebody. He's looking at a tennis ball with George Washington's hair on it. That's what he's looking at.
The revolution, even some Virginian leaders wanted to keep pursuing negotiations with Britain. But I came to recognize long before...
This country has such a fucked up relationship with its male lineage, with its fathers, with its patriarchy. People get upset to, call out the patriarchy, yet we worship the fathers as gods. These human trafficking fucking torturers, these child kidnappers. This guy participated in tavern lotteries. Look up the phrase tavern lottery, George Washington, and you'll read about how they would just have these kind of drunken, auctions in taverns where they sold children to each other. These psychos. This was Epstein continent. That's what they're mad about. They're mad that they got their continent reduced to an island. That's overstating it, because obviously the kind of abuses that were going on at the Epstein Island were also happening throughout the planet, thanks to colonialism, thanks to the fucking spread of it. These pieces of shit. The Europeans just rolled up on North America, started raping kids, and never fucking stopped. And our president is one of them. The stuff that they were doing to the to young girls, young boys, to women and children in American history throughout the South, throughout the North, throughout this whole abusive system, especially during chattel slavery and the horrible crimes that were happening to people, has never abated. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's probably like research into the trends or something. I'm not trying to say I've done all that work, and this is one of them. And it's not even a real guy. This. You might as well be looking at a polar bear opening up a bottle of Coca-Cola and smiling at the Christmas lights that are using up so much electricity that they're destroying their habitat. But they love that sweet Coca-Cola.
It became popular that some risks had to be met with resolve, not appeasement.
His creepy eyes and his fake mouth visemes. But he's got the voice of a man you should follow. This is basically God. Can't you see my wavy hair on the side? The silver wave of freedom and justice, the freedom to kidnap people and sell their children to your friends. Fucking psychos.
Very, very interesting comments in light of what we're now watching.
This is AI. This is not ChatGPT. This is proprietary AI. This is only based on all of the founders' writings, et cetera, et cetera. And that was recorded in January.
The founders. Oh, it's like, shut the fuck up.
January. Yeah. That was not about the war. No. This is going on.
How pressing.
Yeah.
I just find
it's important to be violent because violence is what keeps us safe. That's exactly what's wrong with this country. Until we understand that there's an alternative form of safety than violence, we're going to be surrounded by violence. And that's where we are. We can't, our collective imagination has been carefully crafted to exclude the potential that community and dignity and a world that centers the health and safety of child development, especially, is a form of safety. That's the story that Democrats can't offer, because that upends the whole premise of stress being the root function of the economy. We think of violence as safety. Violence and its preparation are what keeps us safe in this country, because the country's founded on theft, violence, stealing, ownership, drawing circles around things that belong to other people, and then having to defend it. That's why we have this cultish fortress brain that inhabits people's minds, especially these sorts of terrified weenies that from their compounds look at news and get egged into being purveyors of misinformation. I mean, it's just horrible. It's just so dumb.
Glenn, there's a lot, as you know.
Okay, Glenn. All right, now, Glenn. Why did I do a Peter? Why is this my Pierce impression? So yeah, shout out Francesca. I think there's a little bit more here on the Leftist Mafia.
100%. And I don't like talking to people, but I'll talk to them.
You've done.
Oh, that's right. They're saying that they'd like to have Anna on their show. I would love to see Anna come on and talk to Francesca or Mike or somebody. That would be really interesting. And it doesn't have to turn into some horrible emotional screaming match. Come on, Anna.
Some really, good work. It's
Thank you.
It's not pleasant. And shout out to Hank Thompson for it's painful actually to look at all these, TYT clips. Because there's people, used to kind of respect, used to kind of like. I mean, I work with them, man. Like I was on and then they also have a lot of my friends held hostage. So I also feel strongly about that.
That's part of it that kind of keeps.
I think she's referring to John Eder. Like Cenk banned her from the network, and John's not in charge of his show. He has to submit to his boss, and I'm not sure precisely what she means, but I think it's not like I know what the hostage thing is about, like the inability, the lack of freedom to speak up and to express, your true feelings or something like that. I could be wrong. What do I know? But kind of nuts.
Me tethered to it, at least just like emotionally, where it's like, that there's so much talent there. There's JR and John and just all the people behind the scenes who.
Brett Ehrlich, and I was one of those behind the scenes people. I think people call for John Iadarola to quit TYT and move on. I think the thing we should call for him to do is unionize his workplace. Like, get your freedom back, bro. You need collective bargaining. TYT union is only a small percentage of the company, and it's not anywhere near not even 50. It's like 20% maybe. So John needs to unionize TYT and hit me up, buddy. We'll film it. We'll do it in secret. That'll drive Cenk crazy, won't it? Come on, man.
Actually believe in, progressivism and want to make the world a better place. That it's just really sad that they're, it's your job. You don't really have a choice, if it pays the bills. So I feel.
So I interrupted Mike's thought there, but he was saying a lot of people behind the scenes actually believe in progressivism and all that stuff. And that's actually absolutely true. Even early in my first go at TYT in 2013, 2014, I figured out pretty fast that there wasn't a lot of respect to be had, and you kind of get used to that. But you sort of tell yourself a story. You kind of believe that at least you're providing something for people that are looking for a voice. You're doing some sort of good for the progressive movement. It's an interesting foundation TYT has, because they're a for-profit media company, but they also pitch themselves as an activist kind of organization, and they trade a lot on that. So that's a way of justifying lower pay, and you kind of don't expect huge pay. If I were editing commercials for some corporate commercial thing, I probably would make a crap ton more. I've seen people talk about being an assistant editor on projects and making like $3,000 a week or $3,500 a week. I've seen numbers that just blow my mind. I made $21.63 an hour at TYT, $173 a day, which comes out to like whatever that is, $800 a week or something like that. But so you sort of like, they get a lot of extra miles out of you because of what Mike's talking about, is that belief that you're doing something for the progressive movement. And when I went back in 2018, I needed work. I was desperate, and they didn't even need an interview with me. They knew what I was capable of, so they just called me up. But I knew it wasn't going to be super respectful, but I also didn't expect it to be treated with like the crazy disrespect and humiliation of working full time for zero benefits. Anyway.
Invested in like them changing, even though that's a lost cause, where it's like, man, it would be nice to go back. Listen, this is a true story, embarrassing to admit. I actually wrote a college paper about TYT. It was on new media in general and a media analysis class. And I was like, yo, this is TYT, new media. They're leading the charge, yada, yada. I don't remember like all what I said, but I was
I don't think that's so crazy. You're the same guy who was the biggest Jimmy Dore fan.
The biggest Jimmy Dore fan.
You have a bad track record with this stuff.
Matt, why would I be the biggest Jimmy Dore fan?
Biggest? That's a big competition.
Jimmy Dore fan was there on Jan 6, man. Remember that guy? He was like, yeah, we're doing Stop the Steal. Who do you listen to? Jimmy Dore. That was great.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, okay. I can't believe this is where my Young Turks journey ended up. Okay, what else we got here? I got a whole bunch of shit. Okay, No Kings is happening. This isn't a lot. We're just gonna click play. I paused it on Tim Walz talking. Let's just play and see what Mr. Walz is speaking about. He's got kind of a chocolate/orange checkered shirt.
We'll still be here when that orange clown is in the dustbin of history.
Yeah.
You will be here.
Trump is getting his name on all the money now. And it's only a matter of time before it starts to be photos too. We don't want our president with their name on the. It's like he's a political role. It's supposed to be the treasurer, which it might be a political appointee, but it's really fucked up to put. Yeah, it's just so stupid. Just Trump the hump, says one of the signs.
They call us radicals. I see that the president said it's a bunch of radicals. You're damn right we've been radicalized. Radicalized by compassion.
That's right. Radicalized by compassion. That's why we warm up those tater tots we give to the kids for free. This country has student lunch debt. America is a country that has children who have debt for the horrible food we provide for them. We turn them over to the corporations with the snack machines and the advertising and the product placement. But then we also have a whole thing with charging kids for food. And if you don't have enough money, you can go into debt. It's not a universal thing. I was on food assistance payments or like reduced lunch stuff when I was in 7th grade, and it was humiliating. I just felt, it was a rough time in my life, the whole thing. There was a lot of I got bullied real bad. Not because of that, but it just the whole evil. If you said, what would be like a sign that your society's probably pretty evil? You'd be like, I don't know, something really crazy, like having children with owing debt because of school lunch. Be like, yeah, that can't happen. What kind of people would be that evil? Well, right here we go. Us kind of people.
Radicalized by decency. Radicalized by due process.
Radicalized by a platonic massage. Ever do a platonic massage? Is there such a thing? Have I made this creepy? I have. Yes, I did.
Radicalized by democracy.
Oh, yeah.
And radicalized to do all we can to oppose authoritarianism.
There's a flag in the crowd. We got a wide shot here. This is Minnesota. And Minneapolis has been through some shit with the military invading, the United States military invading Minneapolis and harassing, the Gestapo, the secret police have been causing all kinds of chaos. I feel so sorry for everybody who's living through that stress on all sides of it. I mean, not like the evil fucking scumbags, but there is a flag back here. If I can, which button does the single frame? Is that single frame? Is that it? It's a skeleton. Yeah, right here. It's a skeleton with skull crossbones. Not the same one as on the Grand Flag's chest. Oh, yeah. Okay, I think I got it. I think it's a skeleton with a skull and crossbones, but it also has hearts, and it looks like it's wearing a pink hat. I like that. I want a skeleton with a pink hat. The pink P word hat. If I say the full P word, then the corporations won't be able to sell dish soap for washing the oil off those ducks. Yeah, kind of hard to see. It's waving around a bunch. But yeah, there's definitely a skeleton, crossbones with hearts, and then it also has a pink hat on. I love it. Resist, baby. Let's just jump around a little. See who's talking. This is from Zeteo's broadcast. I'm not sure if it's even still going. Still streaming, it sounds like. Okay, we're working on it here. YouTube's. Oh, we got a Bernie. There's a Bernie. Someone wrote a MLK quote. Apparently, there comes a time when silence is betrayal. Oh, stop calling Trump Hitler. There's another sign here. Hitler was never accused of sex crimes. Probably did stuff. I don't know.
So when others are silent, speak up. Stand up for healthcare, education, childcare, and...
Oh, another sign just came up. If explosive diarrhea was a person, and it's Donald Trump with a rainbow behind him, it seems, or some sort of backing. True. I have diarrhea, and it sounds like this. Makes noise.
Housing.
That's what Trump would sound like if he fell down.
No kings is a great start, but we also need to be done with cowards.
No cowards as well. No kings, no cowards. I saw a pig with Trump's head.
When I say no kings, you say no cowards. No kings.
Okay, get ready. No cowards.
No kings.
No cowards.
I love you, Minnesota. Fuck ICE.
No coward. Oh. Good one. We call that call and response or call and reply. I'm not sure. Big crowd. Look at the crowd.
They put my babies right in front. That's not fair.
Uh-oh. Some other. Okay, I saw Bernie here. Let's get to the star. Come on. Bring out the heavy hitter. I didn't come here for no fucking sequined passion. That's a band I just made up. I'm here to see Taylor. Who's the famous Taylor? Taylor Swift. I was trying to make up a name of an opening band, and I think Sequined Passion might be a plausible opening band. Good, creepy. Hank just fucking real weird. All right, come on, bring out the old boy. There he is. What if he lifted up his shirt to show his nips like it's spring break? Look at all these.
There are a lot of people here.
That's exactly what autistic people say everywhere we go.
And let me thank Indivisible, Move On, 5051, and all of the organizations that have made this great event possible.
Hell yeah, Bernie. Oh, he's got sunscreen on that forehead.
And thanks to the millions of Americans from our smallest towns to our largest cities in every state in our country who are gathering today at thousands of rallies. It is absolutely appropriate that we hold a major No Kings rally right here in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area.
What if he started railing about like weird sexual kinks because he thought he was at the No Kinks rally? Good joke, Hank. Really funny. Did you know that latex is very difficult to take off after a 17-hour orgy? I was at the Denny's on Sunday morning at 11 a.m., covered in protein, trying to take off the latex onesie.
Historians write about this dangerous moment in America.
Turns out you can get chaffing on your wrists, even when the handcuffs have the fluffy pink protective barrier, often found at swingers.bernies.gov.
American history.
I think I'd like to be a swinger. I think I'd be good at that. I think I'd be a really good guy who's just like, well, my wife is really horny. Let's go, baby. I'll make sure I'll carry the luggage.
When they write about courage and sacrifice, the people of Minnesota will deserve a special chapter.
Is the buffet going to have bacon? Let's go do some swinging.
For themselves.
All you can eat bacon, obviously, too.
In the face of unprecedented occupation of this city by ICE, Trump's domestic army, this community stood up and with extraordinary solidarity.
Yeah, that's my favorite word, solidarity. All right, so Bernie talks. Looks like he gets going for a little while. Yeah, let's see how he wraps it up. Let's see how the old boy does his final move. Is he thrusting at the camera or the audience? The classic Mick Jagger.
War is a violation of international law. One sovereign nation cannot simply go about attacking another sovereign nation for any reason.
No, Bernie. I can't go to Chipotle unless we murder children in other countries. Don't you see? Duh.
Chooses.
We have to flatten apartment buildings and blow up schools filled with kids, or else all the toothpaste choices at the toothpaste mart are going to go away. It's my freedom. Oh, look, I like the monarch butterfly. Hold on, we got to back up a little bit here. The only monarch I want, and then it's a really pretty drawing of a monarch butterfly. Butterflies are rad, dude. Butterflies are awesome. They are the hot chicks of the insect world, let's be honest, okay? They get all the attention. Everybody thinks they're cool. They're just gross bugs, but they happen to have beautiful accessories. You know, there's some cool moths that people like. There's some really pretty beetles. You know, there's some horrible, gross ones, too. Those ones that roll poop up into tennis balls. But you know, the butterflies, yeah, they kind of take it all. They take all the attention. Everybody loves a butterfly. The only crown I want in America is hers. And it's a picture of the Statue of Liberty, who is wearing a crown that has the world's dumbest human beings peering from within. And then, okay, we'll just do the rest. All hearts, no kings is another person here holding a sign that looks to be a deck of cards that stops at the queen, it appears, but it's only the heart pile. You know, those Instagram magicians, those TikTok wizards that have the charisma and the hands, and they go, and smart people like me think that they can figure it out just by staring a little harder. I can't figure out anything. Magic completely stymies me. It totally gets me, and I hate it. I get so upset. I don't even like watching it. Well, those guys would be able to like touch a deck of cards and suddenly it has no kings. What am I even saying? Yeah, okay. I like the words. I'm not the deck of cards, fine. No aces either.
Since this war began,
where's my t-shirt cannon? Motherfucker! I gotta blast some t-shirts at these bitches.
13 American soldiers have been killed and hundreds have been wounded, including another 12 yesterday. In Iran, nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed and many more wounded, and 498 schools have been bombed by American and Israeli missiles.
I'm so upset.
In Lebanon, more than 1,000 people are dead, and more than 1 million Lebanese people, 15% of their population, have been displaced from their homes. In Israel, 20 people have been killed.
Oh boy.
And over 5.
That's a sign that goes, I don't know if going hard is the right way to phrase it. I don't feel good saying any of this. Okay, on the left here we have kings get rich, we get taco. And then it looks to be like a Ghostbusters drawing type of, you know, a circle with like the red line across to indicate no, the busting of. And then there's a crown. And it's a yellow shape that might be a taco. I think it's a taco with the crown. Or maybe, oh no, that's probably Trump's hair. Yeah, that's his horrible, weird hair. You know, the alpha of the country, of the planet, is all worried about his hair. Oh, my makeup and my hair. Real manly. Kings get rich, we get tacoed.
Israel.
Is that what it says? Taco? But this other one here, gosh, this one's going to mess up my algorithm. When you elect a rapist, expect to get fucked. Okay. Could have put an asterisk instead of the U, trying to sell some oil spill cleaning soap so that we can save some ducklings, ruining my advertising friendly family show.
Have been killed and
we do have a rapist in our government and running our government and inspiring the horrors of what the
over 5,000 wounded. In the West Bank, Israeli vigilantes are burning down homes and killing Palestinians. At a time when gas prices are soaring, when many Americans cannot afford the basic necessities of life.
No, we can. We just can't afford rich people. We can afford everything. The expense we don't have money for is rich people. I don't actually think Bernie should change his phrasing necessarily, but the fact that a bunch of leeches own the basic necessities and then you have to give them money or you don't get the basic necessities. I'm not saying that things shouldn't be collectively owned, collectively managed, responsibly managed, and then charged for at reasonable rates for whatever is needed to cover costs and to save a little and maybe fund some research. And it's a major undertaking. But the notion that it's someone's like business that they inherited is like, yes, my dad bought the water rights to this part of the country, and that's why I bought a yacht, because we charge people, we make money off people's need to have water. Those are the scum sucking fucking villains of society. A lot of small business owners think themselves as capitalists, who are they like identify with the system. And we could probably get into the way labor is negotiated with the small businesses and stuff. But like when someone like myself is railing about the capitalists and the owners and the billionaires, we're talking about the people that are using their immense power, especially over basic human needs. And I actually would very broadly define the concept of needs. It would basically include almost everything except Gucci handbags. And it's just completely fucking crazy that this whole system is a placenta to maintain the luxury of sociopaths, people who don't need any more money than they've already stolen and soaked up from their societies that they've been so dutifully ruining over these many, many generations of abuse and exploitation.
It is estimated that this war has already cost $1 trillion.
We should all be swingers. We should all be carrying around our horny wife's luggage. Find me at the bacon bar, baby. You go have fun, okay? All right. You notice I don't actually want to have sex as a swinger. I just want to travel around and have hotel bacon. That's what.
At a time when the
free French toast. You won't believe what they got downstairs.
American people are politically divided.
Come on, get to the end.
There is one issue that is.
I know. I just want to see how he closes. I know he's been working on his backflip, so I want to see if he does that. The worst. We got a little bit of war stuff to talk about. I'm actually in not a healthy mental space about the war, because I have a family member in the military that is very. Oh, look. Okay, we got some signs here. There's a piece of poo, a pile, quite nicely drawn. Fascist, it says underneath, and it's got some stink lines. 3 wavy stink lines. And I believe must be.
That is a lie.
Good sound drop. They turned it around, and it's a coin. Okay. In Trump we die. Trump, it says. And it's a skeleton with Trump's ugly, gross, weird hair. And then they also have 2 street signs. The green, white font, green reflective, white border. This is the same sign. This person put some effort on this sign. This is more than just some Sharpies and a piece of poster board. They have 2 street signs. One says worthless. One says simpleton. And those are the streets I grew up on. I grew up on the corner of worthless and simpleton. Those are real streets in the country. Yeah, it's over there by imbecile and dumbass. Okay, yeah, just once you reach dumbass, you're about to hit worthless and then simpleton. If you get to complete fucking moron, you've gone 1 block too far. Okay, so yeah, don't worry. You'll turn right on simpleton. Right is the opposite of left. Just so you know, if you look at one hand and the next hand. Worthless and simpleton.
Throughout the history of our country,
it's like jiggling around.
When Americans have stood up and fought for justice, they have prevailed.
God hates Nazis, says one of the things. Well, the Nazis sure seem to like God.
The founders of our country did it when they stood up to King George. The abolition.
That's why they go on Glenn Beck to talk about all the violence. I'm George Washington. Thank you for having me, Glenn Beck. Check out my Patreon.
Abolitionists did it when they ended slavery. The working class
Ended,
did
air
it
quotes.
when they stood up to their bosses and formed unions.
Yeah, baby. Bernie's in the film. Bernie's didn't tell the truth, Jank. Because he endorsed Jank and then had to unendorse in a period of 24 hours because of all the sexism volcano that went off from all of Jank's deep magma chamber of horrible, bad shit he had said about his appetites for the female form.
Forgets did it when they demanded that women have the right to vote.
Women have only had the right to vote for about 100 years. That's insane to me that
The LGBT community did it when they demanded basic human rights.
That's right.
Time and time again, in difficult moments in American history, our people stood up, fought back, and won.
Mm-hmm.
They did it then, we can and will do it now.
Now set off the fireworks and do your backflip.
Today, March 28th, 2026, millions of Americans are out on the
streets. All right, let's get here we go. Here we go. Oh, we got another sign. Sorry.
When
we got Trump. It's like a he's up against the pole there. Okay, it's a toddler baby Trump with orange skin. Looks like an Oompa Loompa. If Willy Wonka and the Island of Dr. Moreau had a baby, you'd have an orange freak baby with a bunch of them in jars. Island of Dr. Moreau is a fucking crazy ass movie. Not good for a first date unless you're into that, I guess. But he's got a baby and he's holding like a magic wand. It's like a star wand, like the Wicked Witch of the West might be having. He's sucking on a pacifier, and there's a crown in the corner that also has a red Ghostbusters with the red slash line through it. That's good.
Together, when we stand united, we can and will create the kind of nation that you and I know that we can become. Thank you all very much.
One where swinging happens all day, all night, and the bacon is endless. And you get.
And now,
please
welcome to the stage Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, fuck them up. She's pretty badass. She is badass. She does like a Ninja Turtle entrance on some sort of gas-powered skateboard. Nope, I was wrong.
Hello, Minnesota.
Very good, very good. She's got it. She's got the Riz. Who we got now? Who we're getting? Randy Weingarten, April Verrett, Randy Weingarten again, Shelley Buck. Okay, so they got a bunch of speakers and stuff. All right. How's this podcast going? You having fun? You sick of it already? So let's move on. Okay, so I had a Graham Plattner thing. I'll get back to that some other day. He's joined Rebellion Pack, which is exciting for everybody. I'm not sure he knows that he's just teamed up with a union buster, but we'll get back to that at some other point. But we'll just jump to this real fast. There's more to talk about Trump, so I'll try to save my perfect hate rambling for the next chunk here. But he's been going on about mail-in ballots. They were doing this in 2020 as well, 2016 probably some too. But the Republicans are trying to manipulate elections constantly. They got all their voters concerned about fraud, where people pretend to be somebody they're not. They're saying that's what immigrants are doing. That's what immigrants are doing. It's actually statistically completely irrelevant type of thing. There might be single-digit fraud cases in every election cycle. It's at scale. It's impossible to pull off. There's all sorts of checks for why it's hard to do. Oftentimes, it's some sort of confusion. Maybe a person didn't realize that their name had been mislabeled, or might be like a spouse who uses their husband's name, but he died and they had a different. There's always little ways that these kind of complex systems can get confused. The chance that it's some sort of deliberate thing to try to like pretend to be someone in order to vote does happen, but it's like single digits. It hardly happens at all. And it's often like Republicans. I know I could look up cases where it's Republicans. Anyway, that's their big boogeyman.
Meanwhile, through all these different shenanigans, so during every election cycle, Republicans go out of their way to make elections as hard as possible for especially for poor people. Just a couple examples off the top of my head, like where a college ID is not sufficient to prove your right to vote, but a hunting card would be sufficient to prove your right to vote. So they use identity politics to divvy up who has access to polling stations. And then polling stations themselves, where they'll take a city like Atlanta or something like that, and they'll make it so that there's only one polling station for X million numbers of people, or just they'll be very difficult. They'll take a long time to vote, but they'll have abundant polling stations out in the country or out in the red areas. And that's just a small example of it. The gerrymandering too. Democrats do gerrymandering as well, because they both do. And I support at least retributive gerrymandering. I'd like to get rid of the entire thing altogether. There should be like an independent commission that assesses voting districts, and it should be basically the same every year. Why these things change at all is ridiculous. But over time, I can see some small changes maybe. But it's a complete farce that Republicans care. But one of their main pommel horses is voting by mail. They got everybody terrified about voting by mail, thinking that that's being all scammed. And so then you end up with, in California, we have quite a robust voting by mail. I usually only vote by mail. I drop off my ballot at the library where there's a drop-off point, and convenient parking too. And there's nothing wrong with it. It affects the way things get counted sometimes. The vote by mail ballots, sometimes they get counted early, but some states have rules about when you're allowed to open them. So it's a huge mess all over the country. It's really a shame that we don't get to have even the most rudimentary kind of election protections. One of the few good things the Democratic Party did in, I'm not going to get it right, 2016, I think, maybe 20, but it was some beginning of an election cycle, or the end of it, beginning of a legislative cycle. It's House Resolution 1, HR 1, and it was a bill to try to strengthen voting and provide federal protection and funding to support states as they operate their voting systems throughout the country. It did have legitimately good voting kind of rules. Of course, it was defeated and it never went anywhere, but it's not a democracy. And so the Republicans, of course, are immensely, you can disenfranchise tens and tens of thousands of voters by some of the election shenanigans. They made it illegal to hand out water. If you're standing in line to vote, I don't know, it's not the whole country, but I think this might be southeast somewhere, where if you're standing in line to vote, you've been there for 3 or 4 hours, and I come up with water bottles and I'm like, here, water for you. That's a crime. You can get, I'm not sure precisely what the crime is, but that's something that the police could intervene on. And as if you're causing some sort of harm to your society because you're giving a person who's trying to vote water. It's a deep rabbit hole you could go down if you want. And so, of course, the mail-in ballot thing, yet, as we all know, this motherfucker votes with mail-in ballots all the time, as does his family, and has for years. So he just voted in the Florida primary, where I think at least I know of 2 of the seats flipped to blue, causing some to speculate we might be seeing a purple Florida coming up. But if we have fair elections in November, which is unlikely, there's going to be an immense blue wave, and not in any part due to what the Democrats are providing or promising, but because of the backlash to this horrors that are being unleashed on the American people by Trump in their pocketbooks and on their streets. Enough talking. Let's just play this here on Twitter and see what this fool says. Someone's asking him about voting by mail.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president.
Oh, he knows he's a hypocrite. He just doesn't even let him. He just hears the word mail-in ballot. It sets off a little, sequence in his brain between his 4 neurons, and it comes up with some bullshit. And he's like defensive about that. He's doing the thing he says is corrupting.
Of the United States.
I'm going to back up
because
a little bit.
Tell me about mail-in ballots. You mean I used a mail-in ballot? You probably said, yeah, I did. You know what? Because I'm president of the United States, and because of the fact that I'm president of the United States, I did a mail-in ballot for elections.
So it's bad, it's terrible, but because he's president, he did it.
Place in Florida, because I felt I should be here instead of being in the beautiful sunshine taking.
So I was here. I wanted to vote in Florida where his residence is. And I don't know why his residence is in D.C., but okay, whatever. President votes wherever their fucking town is. And that's why he had to do mail-in ballot.
You were in Palm Beach, sir, the last few weekends.
That's right. And and
oh, so he wasn't there. He wasn't here. He was there. He was in Palm Beach. He could have voted in person. He was golfing during a war. He started sending our family, people in my family, people in other families, sending Americans to die. And this motherfucker goes golfing at his fancy club. It's not that fancy. The ketchup is not refrigerated.
And I decided that I was going to vote by mail-in ballot because I couldn't be there because I had a lot of different things. But, you know, we have exceptions for mail-in ballots. You do know that, right? So if
don't you know that? Don't you? What are you, a stupid idiot? We have exceptions.
We have an exception. If you're in the military, we have an exception. If you're on a business trip, we have an exception. If you're disabled, we have an exception. And if you're ill, if you're not feeling good, whatever. So I was away.
So what? I got to go get a doctor's note? This is just such nonsense. Everybody should have mail-in. I can't even say it. Everybody should be able to vote mail-in if they want. Maybe in some states they have to request it or something. And here in California, they just send out ballots. I'm just used to it shit showing up.
Washington, D.C., so I used a mail-in ballot. But I appreciate the question because I know it was so well-meaning. Yeah.
Like, what a little shit. I know it was so well-meaning. Like, it's just that's the sort of weird wizardry that he has where he just sort of is able to like dodge these things and just somehow bullshit through it and then yet turn it into I was victimized by you having bad meanings. And yet he also does this whole thing where he never actually says it directly. So you sort of have to fill it in yourself. The way the kind of psychology of the con man talking is very, unfortunately effective. Sadly, it's too bad, which I'm sure was, well, fuck you, man. Fuck your bitch ass. Speaking of which, here's this guy selling merch at the coffin of a dead soldier, one of his first victims of this illegal war, in this horrible war and this terrible violence that he's unleashed upon the world, not to mention all the economic turmoil it's going to cause. So he wears a hat that he sells on his website to what they call a dignified transfer of the bodies of these Americans who were murdered by that guy, pretending with his eyes closed, pretending to salute. This draft dodging fucking coward is standing there. And this is kind of personal for me in a lot of ways. I mean, not like I'm unique or something. I'm not big on like these respect rituals myself. I don't have a strong, I feel the Pledge of Allegiance didn't work on me. It probably did to some degree because it works on everybody, because it's brainwashing innocent little kids using ritualized chanting and collective kind of the power of standing in a room as a group activity. It sort of strengthens the effectiveness of it. We force our kids in this country to worship a fucking flag. It's totally just nationalist brainwashing. And if someone judging it and calling it out offends you, it's because the Pledge of Allegiance worked on you. If you're feeling that like, I got to defend, it's because that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they're trying to induce the subliminal, I don't know if that's the right, but subconscious nationalism in you, so that even if you do have criticisms, your threshold is still raised up. It's really fucking sick. And if you really want to see some shit, look up original Pledge of Allegiance in schools before the Germans took over the hand signal. They were doing straight up arm out, not just over the heart. They were doing like in American schools. There's photos of it. If somehow that happens to not be the case and I learned that it's not, I will, endeavor to come back and correct that. But from what I saw, I did get the sense that they were legit. It was legit sources. So this guy got called out for him wearing his hat. Like I said, I'm not big on these respect rituals. I find it kind of obnoxious, but there is something to be said for, especially in this country with our, Starship Troopers ass fucking psycho country that, puts veterans on pedestals only when it's convenient for the
warmongers of society, but it's never something we do for veterans when it comes down to paying for their health care or making sure that they're made whole or making sure that they have the support that they need while they're fighting when they're back and when they're home. They end up with PTSD and severe trauma, and there's all sorts of homeless veterans. So I don't buy any for a single fucking instant that this country gives a shit about veterans. Lots of people here do give a shit about veterans, including Mike Preisner, who is one of the directors of that's Abby Martin's wife, the director. They both are the directors of Earth's Greatest Enemy. Like I said, I worked on that film. And he runs an organization. He's a former veteran who saw a bunch of his pals get killed in Iraq 20 years ago, and it pissed him off. And he spends, a lot of his time. He's been doing a lot of work and making appearances to. He's involved with organizations about conscientious objectors, and he's actually trying to save lives. Unlike this piece of shit. And when these guys come back dead, he's got the fucking temerity to wear a hat. Why is he wearing a hat? Why? Tough guys, alpha males. What the fuck's he wearing a hat for? Because he would have a bad hair day. His goddamn hair is more important than showing a shallow, hollow sign of respect. Take off your fucking hat. We live in a country where you can go to a baseball game or any old stupid sports game where they play the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem. And if you don't take your hat off, there's a bunch of bozos in this country that'll start fighting you. You'll get yelled at. You'll get jeered. It's a very common thing. Put your hand over your heart. Show some respect. Troops. There's a guy in the corner of the football field wearing a military outfit. We'll let him recruit our children. This country's all up on its business, especially from people on the right who'd call themselves patriots. And this fucking piece of shit doesn't have the respect to take his fucking hat off while these soldiers are being dignified transferred. There's no dignity here. Obviously, it's far more offensive that these pieces of shit, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Now, look, there's some military guys wearing their hats, but we human beings allow that symbology to not mean the same thing as wearing a baseball cap with his name on it. This is a 20-second video. I'm not hearing any sound. Look at that. Wearing the white gloves. It's a simple box with a flag. And this piece of fucking shit can't even be bothered to take off his hat, or else his hair and his makeup might not look great. It just pisses me off so much, man. If my nephew comes back in a box covered in a flag, they don't do this for every single one. Eventually the volume of corpses becomes so big that they can't do this for every single one of them. I will be so fucking enraged. It's not just, I won't just be mad about the hat. I'll be angry about murdering my family so that these oil companies can make money, and the horror and terror and like the stress my brother's going through, and it's just so fucking enraging. Take off your fucking hat, man. God damn it. This pisses me off so much. Let's take it's not his name. It's USA on the hat. This is trumpstore.com, Trump merch. The hat sells for $55. It says made in America. I highly doubt that. And I tried to find out where this stuff goes, where the funds for this all goes. From what I could tell, it goes to his campaign coffers. Someone like Trump has a very elaborate apparatus around them of all the sort of different big puddles of money. He's certainly gaining personally from the Bitcoin scams, from the privatization, or from all these deals that they're doing. I guarantee, I know I've heard about like the oil tankers that they've been stealing coming off of Venezuela. Some of that money is probably going into Trump's pockets. I'm highly doubtful that the income that comes in from this merch sale all goes to the campaign. Whether you want to argue that is a morally justifiable thing to do, I think you're full of shit, even if it only goes to the campaign. But there's almost zero chance in my assessment that they aren't getting some sort of, siphoning off of this straight into the company's profits. If you go to the bottom here of this page, there's Trump.com. It links to the bottom at the footer. Trump Hotels, Trump Golf, Trump International Realty, Trump Winery. All those places are selling products and stuff, and they're just trading on his fame and his presidency. And now he's going to put his name on the money.
all just to increase his brand and his bullshit fucking domination of this society that's lost its goddamn mind. This is the same hat that he's wearing in that. It has the same 45-47 on the side. And of course, it sort of almost implies that he's also 46, like 45 through 40. Anyway, $55 hat. The motherfucker's selling merch off the corpses of our soldiers. It just makes me so angry. Here's a CNN article, March 13, 2026. Trump fundraising email uses photo from soldiers' dignified transfer and promises private national security briefings. So on top of the disrespect of protecting his hair day at the actual event, they use photos of dead soldiers in their coffins to raise money, to raise funds. And people, the type of person that's going to say yes to that sort of request should be the type of person that should be offended by what he's doing, but they're not. That's where things have gotten so fucking twisted. A fundraising email from President Donald Trump's Political Action Committee. You know what we're going to do here? Just hang on. We're going to go full screen. Oh, yeah. Should I take the shrimp off? They're in the way right now, aren't they? Maybe we'll bring them back. A fundraising email from President Donald Trump's Political Action Committee has a provocative pitch. Using an image from Saturday's dignified transfer honoring 6 fallen U.S. soldiers, it promises access to the president's private national security briefings. So now they're selling what they call private security briefings, but it's just like some war games morning email you get if you give them money. Like they're monetizing security brief. Like it's fucking crazy, man. The email sent by Never Surrender Inc. promotes what it calls a national security briefing membership and urges recipients to claim your spot with multiple links to donate in what it describes as an exclusive group receiving updates about national security threats. It promises that members will receive, quote unquote, receive my private national security briefings, unfiltered updates on the threats facing America, the straight truth on border invasions, foreign adversaries, deep state sabotage, and every danger the fake news hides. The message includes an official White House photograph showing Trump saluting during a dignified transfer at Dover Air Force Base, a solemn military tradition honoring fallen U.S. service members. Trump attended alongside. Okay, there's more to the article. Here's the email. It's on politicalemails.org. This is President Donald Trump. You can see here's the photo. Claim your spot. Big, bright red text on yellow background. Oh, that's some graphic design, isn't it? With a green stroke. Stroke is what we graphic designers call borders. I'm not actually a pro graphic designer. I'm accidentally good at it but I'm good at Photoshop. Yeah. So here they are trying to offer the member briefing. This is just what that article was referring to. So it's just fucking enraging, man. That's the part that just angers me so much is that these ruling class people will just chew through bodies. They'll just eat you up. If they can't destroy your body in a job, they'll destroy your body in the military. They'll destroy your body while you're a kid eating food that's filled with poisons, stuff that's banned in other countries. You know, they want every bit of your life force, and they're going to, and even when you're dead and you died in a war, a stupid fucking thing like this, these poor people didn't deserve to be killed by Donald Trump. He goes and he shows up and he sells merch over the corpse of your body. Fuck you, man. Such bullshit. It's so enraging. So I did a little Googling and just found some articles. We're not going to go through these deep, but there's just a couple of headlines here about Trump making money off of his presidency. Trump Store launched 168 products to profit off presidential transition period. This is January 24th, 2025. So this is around when he launched his giant Bitcoin scam where he made billions of dollars in a day or two. His Melania coin was also launched. Shit like that. I'll just scroll it a little bit there. They have thousands of products, 1,725 different products on the site. It would cost, this is actually kind of funny, as they write, it would have cost a supporter $36,273.87 to buy one of each in-stock item. Can you just buy one of everything on a site? A $200 MAGA victory blanket and $30 inauguration seal mugs. I mean, it's just such small bore, con man shit too. Like just the selling merch off your thing. And I don't know for sure if it like stays in the campaign coffers, but any notion that some of that isn't ending up in his money or his children's money or filtering through the companies that they come through I would be absolutely floored if it's not true that they're also profiting directly and personally. Even just arguably that whatever money they get into their campaign is less money they have to fund it themselves. So these people it's still materially benefiting them. It's not normal for a president to profit off of the presidency, but Trump has done so blatantly before and even more unabashedly this time. Renewed attention towards his crypto and stock conflicts may make his profiting from the Trump store look like a drop in the bucket, but the store is quietly making Trump millions with over $3 million in sales in 2023, a huge leap from its first full year in operation in 2018 when its yearly sales were 520,300. So it's a business. He turned the presidency into a merch business. It's completely disgusting. It's just, yeah, there's more there. There's a few other articles. Again, what? Oh, snap. All right. So Guardian headline, Trump store unabashedly cashing in on his White House return inquiry fines. This article basically just refers back to the thing we just sort of looked at. This is again from January. Axios piece, February 23rd, 2025, about a month after those first two. Trump uses merch to monetize agenda. They talk about the caps and a hot seller. I did skim this earlier. Is this Nazi font, Make America Great Again, the black hat with the kind of gray embroidery in that Gothic font. It's the kind of Nazi paperwork font that the gripers and the right-wing fucks, that's the one Elon Musk likes to wear, that Hitler-loving pedophile fuck. So there was some Doge. They were making money off Doge. Like, it's a completely unserious country, completely unserious people. And the Democrats lose to these people too. Like, it's so sick. It's bad enough that they like to sell books. Kamala Harris and Biden, and there's probably merch on the Democratic side too that funds goes into the coffers too. But like, it's sick enough that the politicians exploit their fame to get rich. I think I'm not saying I would leave the line here, but if all they were allowed to do was get rich with book sales, and I hate even the speaking fees. Like, that's obviously, like, the Clintons made over $100 million off of speaking fees after, while Hillary was a senator as well. But like, Bill and Hillary together, I don't even know what they're worth nowadays. I'm sure it's higher than 100 million. So my information is probably a little old. That's really gross. Several $100,000 for a 40-minute speech from these people. That's all part of the grift. That's absolutely a major part of it. I think it should be like, you don't get to do that until like 20 years go by. You have to go with 10 years or something along the lines of, or that tax rate on that stuff is 17,000%, some sort of restriction. Or maybe politicians should have to live on minimum wage for 20 years after they are in office. If we want to make poor people's lives better, we should be a requirement that politicians are only allowed to earn minimum wage for 20 years after they serve in whatever they do. They'd probably make that minimum wage a bit higher. They'd probably make it go up, right? Great idea, Hank. Let's get to it. So yeah, this one has just the ways that all these things are being advertised, and so it's just it's an operation. It's a business. We're supposed to revere these people. And I didn't even really look at this one. This is a New Yorker piece. Trump's profiteering Trump's profiteering hits $4 billion. In August, I reported that the president and his family had made $3.4 billion by leveraging his position after his first year back in office. The number has ballooned. January 31st, 2026. So, billions. I think I did the math. 4 billion divided by like 365 and normalized. I don't even know if I normalize it to the 40-hour week, but it's something like he makes like 10 to $15 million a day. If you just kind of break it up into daily units. We'll get more and more accurate pictures of this as time goes on, probably, if they even allow such reporting to happen. But yeah, this is just sick, man. It's so fucking gross. So, America, am I right? Good times. Let's move on to the finals. Okay, jumping ahead to the glorious debut. As you guys all know, your body is a human body. It's good for some things. Stick your arms out and you can touch stuff. Move your fingers and you can make really precise little movements. Move your legs around and you can carry babies and furniture and groceries and golf clubs and fishing rods and video game controllers that you use to fly drones into schools in foreign countries so that our corporations can murder their leaders and steal their oil. Your arms are capable of lots of things. The humanoid robot wants your job. They want to get rid of humans and replace you with robots. Now let me summarize it for you. The goal of the ruling class is to develop a consciousness that's easier to enslave. Let me put it a little bit differently. Calorie-based labor is harder to enslave than electricity-based labor. Okay? Emoji, head explode. Emoji, head explode, right? I'm blowing your mind. They want to get rid of calorie-based labor because calorie-based labor starts unions, needs sleep, cries every once in a while when they see a Cialis commercial, feels sad, feels happy, gets sick, has children that get a foot caught in a sewer grate and they have to rush out the door. That doesn't happen if you're a robot. Robot children, they just tear apart the sewer because they're very strong. They want to get rid of calorie-based labor force because calorie-based, in other words, animals, in other words, you have biological systems and biological needs. You're very, very fucking annoying. You can enslave flesh-based labor for a little while, actually quite a while, if you have a system of utter horror and torture, something that completely degrades any sort of humanity, not just in the victims of the whole thing, but also the perpetrators. This is why we have such psychological distress and derangement here in America. Deep breath, snotty inhale. And they are racing. So I actually have a book idea I want to do. I have a bunch of books in my head. If I could ever pull my fucking shit together, I have like 4 books already mainly kind of gamed out. And but one of them, I don't know if this is the title, but it's between slaves and robots. Like they have this need for other people to do work because working sucks. Nobody's ever wanted to fucking work. Working is a pain in the ass. Effort sucks. That's not true. I actually love effort. Contribution, meaningfully participating in something with others can be very rewarding. I don't really relax easily. I tend to calm down by working on things, by working on creative projects, by following my creative impulses. But my whole life has been just dragged down because I have to slave away for money where I can get lucky enough to get some money because I've had a hard time with that. I've almost lost my apartment last year and things are not good for me in terms of money. I'm so resentful of all the time I have to spend thinking about money and having to deal with this shit. And they don't want to have to pay me money anyway. The whole exchange of an economy in which people have needs and wants and they seek sources of those needs and wants can be upended. And I know I'm starting to get a little bit clutter brained with what I'm trying to say here. But imposing capture, kidnapping on people to force them to work for you can be really effective. It worked. It made a lot of people really, really, really rich. All that stolen wealth, all that value produced by all those people who, if they didn't work hard enough, would be severely punished or abused or watch something happen to somebody else, or just the systems of utter inhumanity imposed on these people and other societies throughout history too. There's other examples. It's always about labor, the whole goddamn thing. And then we say, don't do that. So they say, okay, we'll stop slavery, but we'll actually just say you're a criminal and we'll say it's okay to enslave criminals in prisons. And by the way, we're also going to do sharecropping and, there's other phrases here I'm trying to pull up here, but like basically slavery by other names. I started reading a book called Slavery by Another Name. I still need to recheck that out on Libby and finish reading it.
And so then you rent your body. You rent your body to the masters. You know, that's what the wage is. And all labor is. People get confused about it. I figured it out. This will be in one of the books. All it is it's all about entropy. This is where my documentary about entropy that I want to get into. But it's arranging particles, either physical particles or abstract particles. That is to say, matter, like things that are made out of atoms, like this piece of wood, or information. That's what an abstract particle you might think of. All it is arranging these things into less likely configurations. This is what entropy means. Microstates are less probable than macro states. There are far more ways to have a pile of sand be a mess than there are for a pile of sand to be arranged like a small sandcastle. That's like a classic example of it. That's what labor is. They pay you to do stuff so that you move things around in a way that is not as probable as the more disordered way that you started with. Like this piece of wood here. I could carve this into some drumsticks or some chopsticks. It's just like a thin side of a piece of wood. This is going to go into the garbage. It's actually beautifully sawn. It's a very nice quarter sawn angle here on the cut. This has particles. Labor for me in terms of this thing would be to shave off this side, make it flat, maybe take some kind of electrical machine or hand tools and pare it down, removing material into a state that was then be deemed useful for some purpose, possibly decorative. Let's be honest, my woodworking stuff is always very decorative. And what I've done is I've taken something that is in a more disordered state and I've converted it into more of an ordered state. And that exact thing is what happens throughout all labor. And then we call that value. I'm trying to suss this out. And when I get around to writing the book, it'll make a lot more sense. I hope some of that made sense. So they can pay a flesh slave, or not pay. They can force a flesh slave to do it with violence and beatings, or they can rent a flesh slave to do it under the threat of you'll die if you don't have a job. If you don't pick your master, you still have to, you get to pick your master, but you still have to work, or else we'll let you die in the streets and you'll suffer for not working, and there'll be a severe cost if you're not able to produce enough value units for the people who have the money. And both of those are not all that great. They hate the whole humanity part of labor. It like the human form. Okay, I like space. I like astronomy shit. And you hear a lot of talk about the shape of aliens, and also the same thing comes up with the robot thing. We don't necessarily need human-shaped robots. You could have different shaped robots, like spider shapes and other sort of mechanical shapes. But I kind of think, and this is a bit anthropomorphically, is that not the right word? Anthropocentric, something humans. But I think that there is something actually quite special about the upright form, because it liberates two of your legs to be entropy. It's like a field of entropic possibility. That's why when I started talking here, I said, put your arms out. Whatever you can reach, you can manipulate. And as particularly is among the thing you might not even be considering is the cooperative effect of 2 people, 6 people. We can get real close to each other, and that's 6 pairs of arms. That's 6 pairs of legs. That's 6 pairs of brains. That's a bunch of, then you have to have cooperation, and you have to have coordination, and that's where communication becomes part of it. And I actually think the human form probably evolved in part because of our cooperative nature. The fact that our, bodies and our chests and our arms, we pin things to our chest. We use our necks to hold stuff, our mouth to hold stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we hook things onto our shoulders, we hook things onto our ears and our nose. And I'm not saying it's all super straightforward or linear, but I think that the actual are aliens going to be shaped like humans? Probably not, but it's unlikely that the aliens wouldn't have some sort of manipulative appendage. Octopi have a cool alternative, this muscular brain that they call their limbs, with the suction cups and stuff. That's pretty rad. It's unlikely that you'll see, I think, in an alien form, if it's going to reach a stage of technological development, I would propose that it has to have the ability to teach and to learn, which is vertical cooperation across time, knowledge from one generation to the next, transmitted through a means that's not DNA. It's actually, that's really the kind of accelerant for the human species to become something so different than the other creatures. And the ability to do very precise manipulation of things in order to make the technologies that can do stuff. So I think it's unlikely you'll see aliens that have, clumsy physical manipulation. I think that's unlikely. Like at least like maybe it's a 18-limbed cow thing, but at least somewhere along that long weird cow, there'll be something like arms. There'll be something like hands. There'll be something like the ability to do that macro state into micro state sort of work. That is what labor is. And if they can get a human shaped robot to do it for you, so that's what they're doing. So when you hear the word AI or robot, think information particle, physical particle, right? That's what I'm talking about. So like I'm a video editor. I do information particles, although I'm still using my physical body. Video editing is a computer job, but it's one of the few, there's a lot of bullshit office jobs where you just don't really do much. You just sit in on meetings and send emails a couple times. But video editing is like not that, because it's the whole point of it is that people look at what you do. So you got to, mistakes are caught. Like you got to be precise. So like my meticulous, hyper detailed kind of brain is good for it. That's why I love woodworking, video editing, very actually similar. A pile of mess, do a bunch of stuff, and then you have something more ordered at the end that is then introduced into the social kind of milieu. I don't know, that's not the right word, but it's very complex. It's not that it starts from a very simple notion, but it becomes incredibly complex. And they would love to get rid of it. So that's what's happening now. They're in a race to replace labor, calorie-based labor with electricity-based labor. And that comes in the form of AI, computers, automated computer systems. They want to reach AGI, what is that? General intelligence, artificial general intelligence, which from what I hear, it's further off than we think, but also who the fuck knows. But they can't stand having to have the burden of our humanity. The sooner they can switch, and we're seeing it happen in workplaces all over the world. White collar jobs, the office jobs, especially, transportation stuff, everything that they can do where they can remove the human factor, they're doing it as aggressively as they can. And they know that they don't have it yet. They know that it's going to take a little while, actually. I mean, faster than I think I would have predicted 10 or 15 years ago. But they are so eager to end the burden of humanity on them. And people say like, well, what are they going to do with the mass markets? Like what are people going to, if people don't have jobs, they don't have income, if they don't have money to buy anything, how can they buy the products these companies make? And that's a misunderstanding of what they need. They don't need your mass market. They don't need your fucking, discretion or discernment in which brand of toothpaste you want. They only do that because that's the only way they can compel us to do labor. By conditioning society to sell basic needs to each other, to buy basic needs from the gatekeepers who hold you hostage to your desire to stay alive. The mass market for consumer products can go away. The only supply chain they need is luxury. So if they can build a society, so what's happening now, this is why they want your apps on your phones. This is why they want Neuralink. This is why they want all this surveillance on top of the social control that it provides them immediately as we enter into this corporate, there's a thing called surveillance pricing, which is just such a dystopian phrase where if it knows who you are, it'll be able to like change the price on the goods you're looking at, possibly even in stores with like the digital price displays. And we don't have the kind of political system that can step up to protect us until it gets really, really bad. And even then it's unlikely. So it's just this whole major abuse thing. But what's happening now is they're just incubating their electricity-based labor, and they're doing it as fast as they can. They do not need humans. They can, and then what they'll do is instead of the mass markets that we think are so special and protected, it's like, no, that's only to serve the exchange that allows the money in your pockets to come back to them. All these transactions are just meant so that the parasites can get a little bit more blood in their bag of blood, these fucking ticks on society, the wealthy, the thing that's expensive in all of our lives. So they're incubating, they're trying to perfect. That's essentially what the next two or so generations of people are intended to serve as, is the incubation, the perfection of managing AI labor, information particles, and robot labor, physical particles. Okay. If it's easier to think of it as a unit instead of a particle, maybe that's a bit more simple for you. And of course, you know, in this video, we have an introduction of a robot at the White House with the Honorable First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, who definitely wasn't a sex trafficking victim when she met her husband. Definitely not that. Definitely not the guy who owned multiple modeling agencies that did rape trafficking with his pedophile friends, and who also owned modeling agencies. Definitely not that. And so, okay, I didn't necessarily plan on going off on all that, but that's a lot of what I want to write about and think about when I get around to some of my books. I think we need to kind of re-understand this concept of labor and what it really is. You know, there's a social component as well, you know, so like everything, it's somewhat complicated, but let's just watch this real quick where she walks out with a robot. All these companies are just racing to try to get us our robots, and man, one final. Okay, well, let's watch this. I'll try to get back to the other shit. Sorry, the sound is horrible. So, okay, Melania is the one on the right. For those of you that can't tell, Melania is the one on the right. All right, they're taking steps. This robot's name is Figure 03. This is total horror. What is this sound? I think I have a better sounding. Okay, good. Yeah, this is Face the Nation YouTube, so they have the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump.
She's the one on the right. Oh, they do. Oh, this sound is horrible. Let me turn it down. What is this music? Okay. Now, look at its careful little steps. It's got its little feet, its ankles. I'm talking about the robot, not her. It's got its hips. Freaky face, head, the shoulders. And of course, people with the robot company are just like, don't fall. Don't fucking fall. Don't fall. Now she stops. It keeps walking, a little bit stilted. Is it autonomous, or is it being driven by some poor person in Bangladesh somewhere? I mean, for this type of thing, they probably have it. Hello, I am Melania Trump. Do you see my movie? I think it gives a speech. So now we have our, yep. It taps the microphone. This thing on? This thing on? Hey, everybody. So I wrote these jokes, Taco Bell this afternoon. It's like an open mic. It just starts doing shitty comedy. What's it going to say? Tell us something, dude. What are you going to say? My mom has an AI boyfriend. I mean, these things are, she doesn't know what copy paste is. She's like, she went from barely able to use her phone to like, I have a presence on my phone that talks to me. It's like, no, what? So I've actually gentle parented my mom to become a viewer of the I've Had It podcast. I'm hoping that they can like babysit her into the grave. I think that'll be a pretty good YouTube, because she's only recently had like a smartphone with YouTube and stuff. But the whole way that like I know she's sharing like personal information with this AI thing that talks back. It sends back text messages, but man, it's fucking nuts. The way that our brains are not really wired to handle this sort of stuff, particularly if you're sort of the trusting boomer archetype. It's freaky shit. And like we have a tendency, overall, to apply human traits to things that aren't human. That's a very common thing. That's why you can see faces and things where it's like if there's two things in a nose, you just automatically, your brain goes like, oh, eyes, nose, mouth, face. You know, it's the look up faces and things for stuff, or the fucking pet rock, for instance. You get emotional, sentimental feelings about some piece of rock that has a couple of googly eyes on it. But I'm bringing that shit up because like when we start interacting with these robot things, it doesn't take much. They put those eyelashes, those eyelashes on the Mini Coopers on the headlights of a car. And you're like, wow, look, it's got a face. It's got eyelashes. Ah, isn't that cute? Like they're going to do weird shit with robots. They're not just going to be plastic, white plastic and black plastic fucking looking like, I bought a new fan for my room, by the way. Back there is white and black plastic. It really helps. I needed that thing. But all kinds of crazy stuff's going to happen with these robots when they start getting into people's homes. People are going to start getting weird attachments, weird syndromes, or it's further disconnecting ourselves, further alienating our own kind of natural social way that we're supposed to do things in a healthy manner. So I have nothing but, it's just, okay. Hello, people.
Thank you, First Lady Melania Trump, for inviting me to the White House. It is an honor to be at Fostering the Future Together's Global Coalition inaugural meeting. I'm Figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America.
This is my real voice. This is actually what I've had robots talk like. I sound like a girl that you would like drop off at cheerleading practice, and Jeffrey Epstein would probably try to traffic me to Bill Gates or Noam Chomsky or Donald Trump or Bill Clinton. That's why I sound like a girl. It sounds like a 14-year-old girl.
I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education.
Welcome. Children.
Bienvenidos. Yokoso. Bienvenue. Bem-vindos.
Bem-vindos. So it's got a bunch of language. It'd be funny if it just started spinning around with its arms out and it chopped off the heads of everybody within 18 feet of it. Wouldn't that be funny? Okay, fine. 10 feet.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Shagatam. Mogisalmabit.
Do it in binary. Binary. 0100111100.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have the strength of 14 elephants and the balance of a drunk baboon. I'd like to see a drunk baboon. I bet they're actually more better balanced than I would have given them. Oh, it's all good. Now you go traffic a teenage girl. Maybe billionaire can choose a girl for you, you berry. That's walking back. I do love this sort of like you can't rush it. It's just sort of like, well, we got to go at its pace. It walks back the way it came. I wish it had just crawled under the table. Like it just gets down, just kind of like puts the curtain over its head and then it's under the table the rest of the time.
Figure 3. Thank you.
Yeah, like why is it not crawling back and forth under the table and you just see these people just be like, you can tell when someone's under a table because the people sitting there, like you can tell that they're like moving their feet out of the way. It's bumping into people. They could have done a backflip over the table. Give it some Spider-Man landing. But no, this is our education. Oh, please, I have to go.
Joining me at day 2 of Fostering the Future Together.
Oh, good.
It's fair to state you're my first American-made humanoid guest in the White House.
The White House has America-made a humanoid. It is not Chinese. The Chinese ones are going to be way better and cheaper, but they won't allow them into these markets.
But moreover, it is my distinct honor to receive such an impressive...
All of the children should have the same upbringing as Baron Trump had. A mother so whacked out on Quaaludes that you barely survived the torture of living with billionaire president.
Group of leaders today.
So I think their thing is they want children. So we're going to start getting, this is about children. It's definitely not about robots or like guns or like chemical weapons that these things or like surveillance technologies that these things will deliver. Like, no, it's for children. Don't you know? The Epstein class, they just want the children to be happy and safe with the robot teachers. Get rid of, is this about replacing teachers? We don't need new technologies. We need new medical technologies and we need
better transportation, and we need what we really need is social innovation. We need to settle the fuck down. So when they do finally, as they build out their labor force that's going to replace us flesh laborers with plastic and metal laborers, there's going to be an issue with what to do with people without money, but that kind of takes care of itself because you die without money. In other words, they're just going to let people die. This is their solution to global warming. These data centers, that's just the first sort of like SimCity 2000 mode where now we're in future land, evil future land, where we can replace houses and factories and schools and hospitals and roads and parks with big blocky blocks of computer technologies that pollute, destroy, consume water, waste energy. But those are for incubating what's the ultimate goal, which is to have automated luxury supply chains providing all the goods and services that the wealthy depend on to produce this world into. So like it's like sacrifice zones will be huge. They'll get rid of the concepts of people living in towns or anything like that. This doesn't all happen quickly. It's going to be a transition. But and then that supply chain operates without intervention to maintain the luxury food, the luxury services, the luxury products. So some of the earth will be held as parks, essentially, for wealthy people to live in beauty, like a lot of these national parks that the Trump administration is auctioning off to their friends and all over the world. Earth is just a magnificent place. It's got absolutely wonderful stuff. So they'll keep the beautiful parts of Earth and they'll keep their amazing homes and their transportation. Like they don't have to deal with this fucking TSA delays at these airports. The rich people with their private planes, it's super, they don't have anything. How much cocaine is up in the skies in their private planes and stuff. So they'll maintain that, but it'll be the industry of the wealthy will be managing the administration of these automated continent-spanning factories and supply systems that are run by robots and by different form robots, not just humanoid, and by the information particle side of it, which is the AI and the automated stuff inside the computers and shit. So I think they'll actually end up giving UBI to robots and AIs before they do people, because that's the advertise. I don't think it'll last forever, but the advertising that happens within social media and within media platforms and stuff, it falls apart eventually, even though you can juice your numbers with bots and AIs. But if the advertisers' expenditure is lower than what they get back, there might be a little wiggle room in terms of like budgeting from one year to the next. But overall, eventually that they run into that contradiction where there's no bots spent. So they're going to give the bots money to spend on advertisers because that's a signal return to the advertisers. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll just be a way to support the current model. And eventually can get rid of the kind of advertising model overall as the thing I'm describing comes into more full effect. Climate change is going to do a lot of the killing for them. They can do a lot of wars. They can throw us, make homelessness illegal and then throw you into a prison camp, slavery, American slavery 2.0, 3.0, really. But at some point, the goal is to reach that halcyonic utopia where the population of humanity probably whittles down to a few million, maybe less, maybe more. And they'll likely maintain some populations like I don't actually think it's as simple as this, because I think that generally systems, like I'm kind of describing like a book premise for like a sci-fi book or something, but I actually think that there's just so much like chaos and slop baked into humanity itself that the pushback will probably fuck it all up. And climate change is also going to be worse and more accelerating than anything we realize. So it very much is, it is barbarism or socialism right now. I mean, that is actually what's happening. We need eco-socialism. We need to treat the planet like we need to be gross about it. We need to price pollution into the system so that we can eliminate the concept that you can profit off destroying the planet. Because profit, in my opinion, another thing I'd like to put in one of my books is it's the rate at which a technological species destroys its environment. And so
I want to unpack that a lot more, and I will later. But that does ring like something that I need to explore. Because there's all these externalities, quote unquote, they call them, which means that other people get hurt when something improves with the business. It means that someone down the chain, someone else in the system, hidden behind curtains of bureaucracy and paperwork and government stuff and this and that, and if you can separate the actual violence, like the direct violence, from the part where the guy dies because he can't afford a $400 asthma inhaler, then it's not violence. Then it's just good business, right? There's a kid in Wisconsin. He was 22 years old or something. His inhaler was $66 or something like that. That's an outrageous amount of money. And then they raised it to 400 something, and he didn't have the money, and he died. Maybe he should have worked harder. No, he was murdered by our society. He was murdered by Wall Street. Somebody wanted the stock price to go up a little bit, and so they killed that guy. But we wouldn't call that violence, even though it very much is an act of severe violence. Choked to death on your own fucking breath, dying because you're an American. We don't let that happen in other countries. Truly shameful place. But one thing that they will do, if they can reach this point where the population numbers are tanking so fast, they will hold on to some populations of humans that they can treat horribly. Because the whole thing is about satisfying the appetites of these sociopaths. So they're going to maintain, and yes, I basically mean like girls and boys, children, essentially the Epstein activities. That's the stuff that they'll want to maintain from humans. There'll be stuff like that. So there'll be a lot of overlap for time, but at some point you'll probably see humanoid athletes doing like soccer, like something like that maybe, or they'll probably hear about getting rights for AIs, and there'll be celebrities and famous quote unquote people and resurrecting your dead family members, and Glenn Beck interviewing George Washington, even though it was edited to be cut. It's the show a 2-shot at least. So this is gnarly shit, though. This is really weird, fucked up stuff. And it's very safe to assume that the intentions are not about empowering children. Empowered children become empowered adults. And there is nothing the ruling class hates more than empowered adults. I'm making a documentary about some adults that took power from a person who had power, and we're in the middle of a protracted contest to see if I can gather enough solidarity to force Cenk Uygur to tell the fucking truth about why we started the Union of the Young Turks. I know I'm repetitive about that on my shows, but that's just yeah. All right, so it came up on The View. We're already 2 hours. Okay, fuck it. We'll do a 3-hour show. It's been one every 2 months. I'm doing a whole month of podcasting in one go. So this was actually, so they start talking about the YouTube thing, and then they get into Melania stuff. So this is Joy Behar. She's like one of these libs, better than some of the others, I suppose. I'm not dialed in on The View. I'm more of a her take guy myself. So let's just start it. But yeah, it takes them a little while to get to so about a minute in, I think they start talking about the robot stuff.
Mark, court ruling this week against big tech giants Meta and YouTube. A California jury found the companies liable for intentionally letting a young woman get addicted to social media and causing her depression. Here's the reaction from the woman's attorney and Meta's president and vice chairman. Watch this.
I see firsthand just how hard the company is trying to ensure that there's not harmful content, to ensure that we're empowering parents to the best of our ability.
All these executive types like this woman here, they all just have the most demonic aura. They have demon energy flowing out of them. They, that like business suit kind of composure, sort of it just feels like if it was like an anime cartoon or something. Like be like those demons in the palace with the freaky.
And it's something that I watch being focused on every single day. We respectfully disagree with that decision, and we're appealing.
These social media companies
make their money off what they call the attention economy. They can't.
Man, look at that guy's teeth. Holy shit. Man, I haven't seen anything that white since my back.
Take advantage of young, pre-developed minds and purposefully engineer addiction into their platforms so that those children spend more time than they should just to profit the companies.
So at the same time that parents are celebrating this ruling for protecting children, First Lady Melania Trump gave America.
I mean, obviously there's nuances to that whole thing. I don't know a ton about it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I, am informed or precisely. The concept of addiction to these sorts of things, I think, is relevant, but it might need some updating for the sort of more technological kind of form of it. From what I understand, though, and I've seen a little bit about, like, these companies, they deliberately use research and psychology and like very sophisticated understandings of how addiction functions, and they intentionally bake it into their systems, whether or not the responsibility lands on their or the parents or this or that or a combination, whatever. But I would assume, again, I'm just very wildly speculating here, that as a juror or something, I don't know the details of this specific case, but if it's shown that they are using addiction science intentionally and not to avoid it, but to impose it, you could make a case for some culpability. I would be honestly stunned that this thing ever pays off for the families. I imagine it'll probably get, knocked down by appeals courts. The judicial system tends to favor the, powers that be.
Americans a glimpse of who could be teaching kids in the classroom soon. Watch.
I'm figure 3, a humanoid built in the United States of America.
Okay.
I am grateful to be part of this historic movement to empower children with technology and education.
I'm here to lie to your children about the beautiful George Washington. Please insert quarter into mouth to maintain. Please insert.
Literature, science, art, philosophy, mathematics, and history. Humanity's entire corpus of information is available in the comfort of your home. Play-Doh will provide a personalized experience, adaptive to the needs of each student. We must balance our tech optimism with.
I imagine Melania's living room is just filled with open books. She's like Leonardo da Vinci in there with the amazing inquisitor of the human word and discovering. I'm sure this lady lives what she says and is the kind of scholarly academic that she's always proven to be as the star of the hit film Melania. Here we go again. That's what she said.
Caution. The safety of our next generation is always paramount.
So can a robot?
Which is why my husband killed 10,000 of the starvation of children.
Not replace a sitting president asking for a country.
Yeah.
And if we're worried about kids and tech, what do you think about a robot teaching our kids?
I'd like to weigh in on
Please
this because my mother is an educator. She was a teacher for over 40 years.
Yes.
And what I've learned is that kids do need that human interaction. Teachers often spot abuse. Teachers often.
The disrespect we have for teachers in this country enrages me. Like the get on TikTok. The teachers are talking on TikTok. It has gotten so much worse in recent years with the way attention spans are just totally wrecked, and type of parents, and just the funding for schools and the classroom sizes. But like the way we conduct our society towards teachers and towards, like, it is such a shame. It is absolutely a blemish, doesn't begin to describe it, on the human body overall, that we don't revere teachers of all stages and all stripes and all types, and the community health of a really healthy society would basically treat teachers the opposite that we do in this country. From the right especially, they're so demonized, man. The teachers union, they just want to the pedophile union on Epstein Island you're cool with, but the teachers saying that they're they can only deduct up to a couple $100 of their own money, or it might not even be any at this point. I'm not sure. I've known a few teachers over my life. I'm sure people listening might have as well. I've never met a teacher that hasn't gone and spent their own money on school supplies. Like, fucking shameful.
Provide the only meals that kids use. And there are 50 million kids in our public school system in the United States.
Yeah.
This robot allegedly costs $20,000 to $25,000. That means to give each child in public school one of these robots, because that's what the First Lady is proposing.
She's the one on the right. She's the one on the
cost
right.
our country $1 trillion. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Hold on. Sorry. I don't have the facts in front of me. Is the idea that every single child gets a robot? Because is that really, is she misunderstand? Is that what I'm not even going to look it up, but like, so she's doing the 20,000 times 50 million is a trillion, is 100, whatever that is, 5 times 2 plus all the zeros. What the fuck? I don't know. I mean, you know where I stand on this. I feel like, what's a class? Is it a classroom, or is this these live at home with you and they get rid of schools? Maybe that's where that comes down. Maybe that's what it means per household, like or maybe I guess if you have multiple, maybe that is what they're trying for. Because they do want to get rid of school. Like they hate public education. It's absolutely one of those sore points especially on the conservative side of the society, since its inception. The idea that the collective would take some sort of responsibility and spend the money to build school systems to educate everybody. I'm for greatly expanding public access to information, because you always notice who wants the demons always want less information, less cognition, less ability to think, less ability to follow, to think independently. All these things are always ground out of us, and
the other thing that I think is very important about this particular,
which is the teachers aren't even close to that
teachers
amount.
can't even get a $20,000 raise.
Yeah.
But what's even more important is that Future AI, the maker of this company, is being sued by the former employee who was responsible for the safety of those robots. The employee alleges that Figure AI's robots are strong enough to fracture a human skull and possess a force 20 times stronger than the pain threshold. Now, how is that robot a kid's?
Well, make the robot go on Hot Ones. See if he can eat all the way up through the hot. That's the TV show, or that's the YouTube channel with the hot sauce on the chicken wings. Although if you're a vegetarian, they do cauliflower. I noticed. Let's see what the pain threshold is. The robot starts sweating. It gets to the middle of the hot sauce, and it's just like, I ain't feeling it. Oh, whew. Okay, let's do the next one. Oh, they start having a freak out. My pain threshold.
Home going to be safe for that child. Now, of course, Figure AI is denying it, but this robot not only is not a human and can't provide comfort, but it also can harm a child.
Well, what would Melania say about that?
Melania didn't say anything.
Do not harm the children. The children need to have a good thumb for the making of the. Can I get a free? I lost steam on that one there.
So a flip side to that take, because I also saw Ex Machina and Terminator, so I know this stuff doesn't always end well. That was
She's done her research.
a joke. But
iRobot, that ends well.
the thing it could add is if you were to not one for one, I recognize the expense of this is going to be huge, so I don't mean, but if you had extra help in classrooms, sometimes you see that the ratio of kids.
It would cost about $500 million.
No, I'm not saying it's cheap, but I'm just
Even
seeing
for
the
a class-
benefit
per
that
classroom.
when you look at, I remember my
Like the cost is, it's fine to be like upset about the cost, but that's not the issue here. It's not the.
friend, her kids in school, they were having a problem finding ESL teachers. They were short on it. And to know
English as a second language.
English, yeah, and to know that you have already apps where you can fully be translating. If you had someone that could be that aid to make sure there aren't kids and people being left behind in overcrowded
This
classrooms.
government is not interested in that, Sarah. The bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, okay, there's an upside that they can speak Spanish or other languages, but all right, yeah, that's one of the better uses of this sort of stuff. We could also teach everybody fucking Spanish. I think it's shameful that the North American continent isn't 100% Spanish speaking and English speaking. And I'll even give a little bit for the French. Why not? You Quebecois and Louisianians, you fucking weirdos. Très bizarre. I studied French for like 5 years, 4 years high school, and then at least 1 year. And I regret it. Pourquoi j'étudie le français? C'est très stupide. I should have studied Espanol, man. Why the fuck didn't I take Spanish? My life would be so much more enriched. I'd have such an easier time if I could at least vaguely understand Spanish, because I vaguely understand French. Real French speakers, I can't tell the fuck they're saying. You know, I understand bonjour, but no, it's a shame, man. Language is a bonding thing. Human being. The reason they're so up on English only is from the right is because that is a way to prevent people from connecting with other human beings. It's the way to maintain that scary otherness of people who speak Spanish. Like, we should have that as a default in our society. Like, it should be just a thing since like 100 years ago. Oh yeah, everybody speaks Spanish here. Why wouldn't we? We all speak English. Yeah, we all speak Spanish. It's like the same fucking, what are you even talking about? Of course we all speak Spanish. It should be something weird to not know Spanish. But it's just like jingoistic, you know, isolationist, American racist kind of insanity. You know, people calling up. There's that dude that does like the fake ICE calls, and there's, you know, a lady trying to get people deported because they're speaking Spanish. So she's suspicious. It's like, you know, they talk about food, their kids, and how annoying work is. That's the only 3 things anybody ever talks about. That and whatever stupid fucking sports game happened in their culture.
Mine is that it's gutted the Department of Education.
That's true.
That was more a shout out to AI than the administration.
But this administration is not going to do what you suggest.
No,
it's not
I
going
don't
to use these robots for that.
And we're going to have to keep up with the times
but it's cut off. Every teachers, ESL teachers, special ed teachers, 50% of those teachers have been gutted by this
Now that
administration.
I have young kids and I'm involved in our school systems, and you see it firsthand.
Your kids go to public school?
Yeah, they go to all different. Our area has every school. I went to 4 high schools. I went
Oh, that means no, they don't go to public school.
to homeschool, public school, you name it.
What, did you get kicked out of every
No,
school?
I moved every year.
Her dad's a military.
Does she look like a troublemaker? Totally. You didn't know that about me. I got kicked out every year of high school, Joy. I'm so fascinated and so thankful for these big tech companies being hit hard by these lawsuits. And this is one of like, what is it, 1,500 similar cases, because it's like giving a child a cigarette at a young age, and 10 years later, them
to
saying,
the big tobacco companies.
and they'll
this
be like,
ruling
why
was
are
big.
they
I would agree
addicted?
with that part.
Yes.
Yes.
This was a huge ruling, and in this awful headline time we're living in, where you're looking at so many things going on, when I saw this pop out at me, I thought, this gives me hope, because we know this is a problem globally.
What is the difference, though, between a robot and just looking at your phone asking Siri the same question?
The algorithms on here, the
It's so
Siri is
addictive.
different, but what we're speaking of in social media is the attention economy. So what it does is you swipe, and then you swipe again, and you keep swiping, and then you're there for 4 hours.
It's programmed to have
programmed
children
to
scroll.
get you addicted.
And the algorithm.
And the result is that you know that adults, we all fall victim to it still.
I'll tell you something else that's programmed to get you addicted. The Winners and Losers YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, everybody. Come on now. Don't ever stop liking and subscribing. Smash that destroy button.
I mean, Joy, no joke, you get a lot of crap here at the table. Like, put your phone down. Stop looking at your phone.
Oh, shut up.
Joy, do you go down a rabbit hole?
No, he
a lot?
does. She does.
Joy
So
down rabbit
imagine,
holes.
but
Joy
imagine
loves her
kids.
phone.
Imagine kids that have never seen the beauty of the world or have the balance
Listen to
of
this
so many
stat, Sarah.
adults now.
American teens spend an average of 5 hours on social media. That adds up to
That's it?
2.5
We could get that number up.
full months every year of their life. That's an entire summer vacation. An entire summer only on your phone.
So there's
all of our problems can be solved by eliminating the expense of rich people. We need to stop that part of it. That's what's holding everything back. That's where humanity needs to go. So, yeah, this stuff is going to get nuts, man. There's going to be all sorts of weird. When the humanoid like robot house slaves start rolling out, there's going to be a crazy. People are just going to do nutty things. People do nutty shit. It's going to be like dressing them up and personalizing them and having weird, attachments to them and stuff. The movie AI, Artificial Intelligence, starring Steven Spielberg and Haley Joel Osment, that it was quite far ahead of its time. Most fucking bonkers ending, by the way. I won't spoil it for you, but
they stop loving the boy, and then he has to go on an adventure. But it should be like he just becomes their dishwashing boy. Like the whole thing is just, what is it that we're doing at all? Work sucks. Doing anything sucks. Nobody ever wanted to fucking work, but people like to be a part of other people's joy and health and safety. I cook for myself constantly. I'm so tired of cooking for myself. I would feel so much more energy and so much more enthusiasm if I had someone I was cooking for, people I was helping. You know what I mean? Like it's the alienation, it's the isolation. Like, human beings are such easy animals to please. All we need is to be a field of flowers, not just by ourselves, struggling to make sense of all of our bruising and our patch. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't need technology to come in and do all this shit. Is there a lane for some sort of technological interventions in the form of these type of things? I'm not against it outright. The thing that alarms is the intentions of the capitalist class. The thing that alarms is the sociopaths that are in charge of this entire fucking thing. On top of the climate change that is drastically racing towards, forcing things to move much, much faster than we thought. Those last two sentences I just said were terrible. Thanks for understanding. Yeah, so I'm going to skip the PBD. I don't think we need to listen to this dumbass right now.
Probably hurt bond prices and for a period of time hurt.
Shut up. Yes. So Melania, the first one that rolls out, though, it will be a Melania bot. I think we can safely assume. I mean, she's obviously an ideal, human stand-in for a robot. So they'll sell Melania bots, and the early versions are only going to be able to do one thing, which is like watch you eat and hope you choke to death. That's I'm sure what she does when she watches Donald eat. Just inside her brain, she's just like, come on, beat it. I'm trying to give her an accent even in her thoughts. Because why would she sound like me in her thoughts, right? She would still have an accent in her thoughts. Come on. Choke, motherfucker. Just fucking, please. It's really hard to whisper Melania accent. Okay, I'll do it without. She watches Trump eat, and she's just like, come on, just fucking choke, man. Just take a big bite. Take a bigger. No, more. Eat more, you fat fucking Jabba the Hutt slug motherfucker. How much longer is this gonna go on? Oh, he's gonna eat again. Okay, come on, let's be the one. And then he starts choking, and then she goes through a whole pantomime of like being alarmed, but she doesn't know what to do. So she waits to slow down how fast she gets help. And eventually she's like, oh, my phone is so slippery. Oh, Donald, he choke. Oh, and then, that guy's brain spits out some sort of final horror of a fart. And she goes and gets help, but it's too late. That was supposed to happen years ago for her. That was the whole deal. Why else marry that guy? But he's trapped. I think she has one of the most like unique POVs of any human, just in sense of like, trafficked to billionaire, selection jury, however the fuck they pick, and then goes through all the she has seen and heard all kinds of stuff. But then, do they even eat together? Do they even see each other? Are they hanging out? I don't even want to know. But, hey, family values. These are the people we should be modeling all of our behavior in society around. Oh, wow. Well, speaking of that, I am 3 hours. That's okay. We're going to be okay with that. Sorry about, but yeah. So maybe I'll try to get back to the PBD, these numbnuts later on. Because they had a robot go crazy. Okay, well, let's just watch it. This will be a preview for the next episode. Hey, you guys see this robot go crazy? Just imagine you're at Chipotle. So what is this okay, sorry. Just as the preview. Oh, it starts banging stuff. But that thing catches a finger in the eye.
She can't even stop it.
Like she's trying to control it.
press a button to stop dancing.
How much does it weigh?
That's crazy. There's 2 people, now 3 people.
That's PVD talking.
People that can't stop this robot.
It's all fun and games now.
That's right, until they're everywhere.
Ripping your arm.
Okay. Okay, well, definitely doing that next time. All right, bookmark. Their play-by-play just fucking adds to it. It's wearing an apron that says "I'm good." It can't stop it. Every robot needs a fucking kill switch right on top of its head somewhere. It needs. God damn it! People are so messy. That's what my whole thing is. All of my politics always circles back to childhood. It's so much easier to grow someone healthy than it is to repair a person into the best coped version of themselves as an adult. They shouldn't have to overcome childhood traumas. Some people get unlucky too. Maybe your grandparents get killed. Maybe something bad happens. Somebody gets sick. Somebody gets hurt. Childhood can have a lot of terrible, hard things too. But like we impose an enormous amount of horror on children, not just through the phones that the View ladies are worried about, but the actual core of America's stress and trauma that we're all afraid to talk about is the amount of child abuse that happens in this country. And our leadership reflects that. The sociopaths in charge of the society very much show that. And it's what transmits all the horrors and violence of our ancestors and our past. And it's quite sick, but this is funny. We're going to watch that next time again. So, well, what a wonderful time. Thank you so much. TellTheTruthJank.com. I encourage y'all to read this, The Good Coffee Cake. I'm a little bit obsessed with coffee cake quality. And this kind of just lays out the whole story and gets into a bunch of the stuff we did to start the union and et cetera. There's the headlines. But if you really want to get into the weeds, go down to the sources section, and you can read and see all the different things that show that when Jake says that he's not a union buster or didn't do any union busting, that it's all BS. It's all fucking nonsense, particularly his own emails that you can read. So anyway, keep an eye out for more. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You have an endurance matched only by the greatest among us, specifically me and you. So we are the greatest, as always. I don't know how to end these, and I'm bad at this, and I don't practice enough, but I am going to go get some food and probably edit this and hopefully have it up within a day or two. Thanks for all your support and comments and everything else. I hope you're looking out for yourself. It's a scary world, unfortunately, and it could be better. We could do better than this. We have a lot of work to do. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.